Welcome back, everyone, to Lesser Known Operators. I'm your host, Nicholas Allen, and my guest today is Nathan Quinn, a Green Beret from the 3rd and 19th Special Forces Group, a competitive shooter, 2-gun, 3-gun, USPSA, Carry Optics A class, founder of Clover Defense, LLC, and an advocate for cognitive health and getting guys to speak up about their cognitive injuries. I hope you enjoy this episode just as much as I did. Today's episode is brought to you by the Precision Wellness Group and Dr. Taylor Bosley. Precision Wellness Group helps you restore balance, unlock vitality through bioidentical hormone therapy, evidence-based, personalized telemedicine. Dr. Taylor Bosley is a board-certified physician, a U.S. Army veteran, and a former Green Beret. He has the shared background. He knows where you've been, where you're going, and how to get you there. And he's an actual doctor who can prescribe you actual medicine. That's a bonus. So if peptides, HRT, TRT, hormones, testosterone, if this is something you've been thinking about for a while, just looking into, look no further than Precision Wellness Group. Reach out to Taylor. He'll take care of you and then point you in the right direction. I will have links to their website and socials along with Nathan Quinn and Clover Shooting in the show description. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, comment, pass these episodes along, leave us a rating. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Nathan Quinn, welcome to Lesser Known Operators, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I just, as I said before, the show is getting more popular and the Instagram and things. And I just love it because now people are reaching out to me, sending me stuff. And I was like, and the screening process for coming on the show, if you're listening at home and you're a special operations guy or gal, is yes, you can come on. Absolutely. Uh, Now, I'm not going to vet what you say. I'm not going to research what your opinion is. We're just going to go with it and post it, and the market or the internet will decide what they think of it. So, thank you for reaching out, and thank you for coming on the show.
No worries.
So, we spoke before, like cognitive injuries. What what does that mean to you, and why is it important to you?
So cognitive injuries, I think, is a new way to frame our perspective of like mental health or behavioral health. So within the framework of the Army, it used to be mental health and they changed it to behavioral health. And as a patient myself, I found, obviously there's a stigma with that, even though I think as a community we're getting better at addressing it and being more open about it, but I think that stigma still resides. And I think a lot of that just comes from shame, right? Dudes are afraid, especially team guys are afraid of being labeled as something. And then when I was going through my own treatment, I was like, they keep saying behavioral health. And I asked my therapist one day, I was like, hey man, why do they call it behavioral health? And he was like, well, impacts changes your behavior. And I was like, well, okay, but what if it doesn't? And we hear very frequently about when we lose guys to suicide or guys that, maybe just shy of suicide when they say, hey, I had no idea there was no exhibiting behavior, there was no change in their demeanor. I'm like, all right, so maybe the term behavioral health is somewhat inaccurate. So how else do we describe it while also, in an accurate way, while also still reducing that shame? And so I arrived at cognitive health and I was like, well, it has a lot of additional physiological components that we're learning about. It's not just, oh, it's in your head, you're making it up. It's like, no, there is a chemical component where in your brain, the receptors, the transmitters, things get out of whack. So it's not just psychological, but it's also physiological. And so I was like, all right, well, how about cognitive health? And framing it as a cognitive injury versus a, mental health disease, right? Well, hey, depression isn't a disease. First of all, it's actually a very normal part of the human experience, right? So, like we were joking, you're a Packers fan. I'm a Bengals fan. Being a Bengals fan is appropriately depressing.
Clear things up for those at home. I am not a sports fan. I'm not
Okay.
gonna no. I'm not gonna let a team of professional athletes dictate my mood throughout the year at different times. No, South African rugby once every 4 years. That's it.
Okay. Right on. Well, I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan, which is a fairly depressing thing to be, and so that's an appropriate emotional response. So trying to shift the perspective away from, hey, this is a disease to an injury, to get specifically again team guys to look at it like any other thing, right? Like dude gets a stress fracture from running too much. Nobody thinks he's a piece of shit. Um, it's like trying to shift towards that perspective regarding our what was previously referred to as mental health and behavioral health, what I like to call is our cognitive health, and look at these things as cognitive injuries instead of he's got a behavioral health problem or a disease.
What do you mean by injuries, though? Because so we got a baseline of happy and healthy, but that's different to everybody. What qualifies for you as an injury?
I would say, I mean, that's a tough question. I want to address the first thing you said, we're happy and healthy, right? Like that's the baseline. And that was something that I really struggled with at the beginning of my journey, because I wanted to get back to normal, right? And that's something I've heard other guys say since starting my YouTube videos. Like guys hit me up like, yeah, I just want to get back to normal. And I was like, dude, I got it, man. Like I wanted to get back to normal too. Um, in thinking that like I just want to be happy, right? I'm not happy anymore, therefore I must be sad. And that used to be my perspective on it. And then again, my therapist, he was like, "Hey, dude, are you like before all this, before depression and all that, like were you happy all the time?" I was like, "No." It's like, "Were you sad all the time?" I was like, "No." There were days where you just wake up and you just are. And he was like, "Okay." So there's a Western way of thinking where if I'm not happy, then I must be sad, and the absence of one is the existence of the other. Whereas saying, okay, hey, you could be happy, you could be sad, and there's also a middle ground where you just kind of are, and that's not good or bad. It's not happy or sad. You're just meh in a very neutral perspective. And so I think reshifting that perspective from, hey, the baseline is happy and healthy to, hey, the baseline is just neutral, and then like, again, happy and healthy when things are appropriately joy provoking, and then sad when things are appropriately sad. So like, you had a dog, your dog gets run over, being sad about it, that's an appropriate emotional response. Um, and then to address your second question, which is I believe it was what is normal, or
Injuries.
what is an injury? Um, I would look at it as anything that is a deviation from your baseline. So and what is a person's baseline is unique to them, but like, average person probably equal parts all three, right? So they are equally happy, they are equally neutral, and they are equally uh, sad, and those things kind of ebb and flow with the flow of life. But I think if you start to spend too much time in any one of those categories, even if you are, constantly happy, I believe the term is like manic at that point. Like if you're just happy all the time, you're never neutral, you're never sad, okay, maybe that's an indicator of an injury. But that's a good point. So I look at it as like any deviation from your baseline, and that could be uh, an extremely temporary thing, or it could be permanent. But then you get into like, hey, how long? How do you define temporary and permanent?
Baseline's shifting though, right? Because I get hit in the head a lot. Well, up to a certain point in 2015, I got hit in the head a lot. And at one point, when I would go to the doctor, what's your level of pain? And it was like a 4 all the time. And that was normal. That was the baseline for just waking up and having this humming pain in the back of my head. So, how do we identify something that has become completely normal to us? You know, that meme where it's like, hey, what's your level of pain today? And oh, the usual amount is 0. And they kind of, oh. So, how do we identify something that we've gotten so used to being in our everyday lives? Because, you said, neither happy nor sad. Uh, I'm rarely happy. uh, but I'm content a lot. And content even pushes into being upset. Like at the gym, it's a it's a fucking brutal session of hurting myself, but and it comes out as a net positive in the end, but I'm not happy about it. I'm just, "Oh, this is nice. It's nice and peaceful. I like where I'm at." So
Yeah,
how do we define those things?
that's going to be up to each individual person, and that's one of the reasons why I like using cognitive injuries, because injuries are unique to people, right? Like a disease, excuse me, a disease. And again, like I should preface all this by saying I'm not an 18 Delta, I'm not a medical professional, I'm not a medical provider, I'm just me.
An 18
No,
Delta is not qualified in these areas. They are there to keep you alive in a traumatic situation until we get you to a surgeon. It is,
yeah,
yeah.
but I am not a medical anything, right? Other than like the
Sure you are.
TTC we get
Everybody's got a mental, man. You got, how old are you?
35.
You
Yep.
got 35 years of experience with dealing with your own mental health and cognitive abilities. So that's there. You got your own, that's a lot of experience still. Everybody thinks they don't have any experience in this area, but they've been dealing with the voice in their head their entire lives. They've got a lot of experience in that area. And I've just realized lately, I've heard all these people's stories, and I started telling somebody something, and I kind of act like I don't know what I'm talking about. And then I realize I do know what I'm talking about because I have all these people share similar stories, and that's evidence. The more you talk to people, the more you hear what everybody else is going through, the more we have these conversations, the more you realize that you're not alone in all these things that are
Mhm.
happening to you. So you, we, and SF guys, there's not a lot of them generally, but it's a very small community, and we're all going through the same thing. So you having all of these experiences, not atypical, right? So you can reasonably assume that the things that you're learning about yourself will apply to a good portion of the special operations community. So don't say you don't have a lot of experience. Just use yours. Use what you have with a grain of salt in comparison to others.
Yeah. I want to come back to that your mentioning of story in a little bit, but again to get back to like how do we account for that shift in baseline, right? As you alluded to, like, hey, if my average experience becomes a 6 on the pain scale and that is my new normal, um, I feel like a lot of that comes down to the individual to be aware of that, to self-reflect and to, stop every once in a while, take stock and go, hey, where am I at? How is this different from 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, so on and so forth? Because things do change, right? Like your body, especially SF guys, like it wears down over time. And so like what was normal for you, like, hey, I could do a 12-minute 2 mile once upon a time, but now my new normal is not 12, much slower than that. But like, hey, what was your normal time? Well, obviously, as you alluded to, like that's going to shift as you use your body, as you place that strain on your mind and your what I've started to call my your cognitive immune system. Your ability to handle that cognitive load is going to adjust. And so I think to capture how that baseline is shifted, it's incumbent on us as team guys or just as human beings to be self-reflective and look back and go, hey, where are we at right now? Like, how am I doing? Or in relation to previous things.
And that can be hard, right? Because you say that and you go, that's dumb. I don't need to do that because, oh, it's extra work, first off. And it requires almost journaling, right? Or keeping tabs on yourself, daily tabs, or writing a diary. And that even sounds worse. Nobody's going to want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to sit
Yeah.
down with my thoughts. My handwriting sucks. I'm lazy. But the habit of getting yourself into the habit of continually assessing where you're at. And I think
Hmm.
most people that are successful in what they're trying to do are able to do that. You know, you can dead reckon or you can stop and check your map often. There's two different. Both those ways will be successful. I think one has a higher success rate than others. But where do you draw the line at analysis by paralysis, right? Of a continuous worry on, am I okay? That's got
Yeah,
to be debilitating as well, right?
it is. And that actually, so that exact, example you used, journaling, was something I did initially when I first went through my journey, right? I was a very data-driven guy. I wanted to see the progress or be able to measure or quantify the progress I was making towards, returning to normal as I was trying to get back to. And so I would journal, I would capture, hey, was this a good thought, bad thought? And then that went back into like, hey, a thought can just be neutral, right? It doesn't have to be good or bad. It can just be a third option, which is just, it is. Um, and then I started quantifying my days. So I would say, okay, hey, was today an easy day or a hard day or a neutral day? And the objective was to have more easy or neutral days than hard days. And so I was able to go back and look back and go, hey, over the past 30 days, this many were easy, neutral, this many were hard. And to a point, that was helpful, right? Because it allowed me to have something to look back on and reflect and take stock and go, okay, hey, where am I at? Are we trending in the right direction? It also allowed me to counter my emotional brain, because one of the things that I found when when you enter a depressed state is you start to feel like, hey, it's always been this way. It's been this way. I've been depressed forever, and I'm always going to be depressed. Which is obviously not the case, right? But that's what you start to feel, or at least I did. But I was able to then go back and look at those data points and go, okay, hey, no, it hasn't been this way. Actually, it's only been a couple days, or it's only been a day, even though it feels like it's been an eternity. And so that helped refute that. But as you pointed out, at a certain threshold, that became an issue because now I was so focused on these data points and I was so focused on what kind of day is today? Is it a good day? Is it a hard day? And I was giving that thing energy. So it was useful up to a point, but then being able to identify, okay, hey, this thing has exceeded its usefulness. Now it's becoming counterproductive. Now I am focusing on trying to get better instead of just letting it happen naturally. And so by forcing myself to look at this thing instead of just saying, okay, yeah, periodically I have shitty days, and then sometimes I have not shitty days, like that's just life, and that I firmly believe that it had always been that way. Guys wake up and they're like, man, today just fucking sucks. Like, I don't know why, but it just does. And that doesn't mean they have depression or anxiety or any of those things. But I think I became more aware of it. Like my sense of it had heightened because I was trying to get better. And so like I took something that was already a normal everyday part of the human experience and I turned it into this project that I'm like, hey, I am trying to force this thing and make myself get better, when the reality is like, hey, this is going to progress at its own pace. And the more you try to force it, the harder it's going to be, instead of just letting it go and like, hey, if depression manifests, if it's a hard day, okay, I deal with it, right? I have techniques, procedures, and I have a safety net. I tell my wife like, hey babe, I'm feeling some kind of way today. She's like, okay, I'll keep an eye on you, make sure how you do, and she would check in periodically. This was, years ago. She'd be like, hey, how you doing today? And like, are you okay? Because she would read. I would show her like the data points, and then she would keep an eye on me based off of where I was. If I was in a hey, it's been a rough couple days, it's been an easy couple days, she would check on me. Um, So I think having that self-reflection is important, but up to a point. And being able to identify that point again is, it's interesting because it requires self-reflection to be like, hey, okay, has this transformed into something that is not productive anymore? And then do I need to maybe throttle back on this? Um, so like I don't, and maybe it's a frequency thing, right? Maybe it's, hey, when you're starting out in the initial stages of this process of trying to recover, you do it more as frequently as you feel you need to, and then as you progress, years later, So like my journey, for example, my treatment started in 2021. I don't keep a log. I haven't, it's been years since I've kept a log. But I do every once in a while check in with myself and go, okay, hey, where, how am I doing? Where am I at? You know, is there anything going on? One of the things I've found is that, especially if I enter a depressed state, and sometimes it just happens, right? Like there's no discernible catalyst for it. I stop and I look around. I'm like, okay, what sort of external factor, if any, is there going on right now that may be causing this? Like, is there something professionally? Am I fatigued because the kids didn't sleep last night? More often than not, there is something there that I can identify and go, okay, hey, that is probably contributing to why I'm feeling the way I feel. So I don't need to freak out about it and go, oh my God, I'm feeling depressed again. Like I'm backsliding. Like not the case, if that makes sense. I know that was a lot.
It is. I got a few notes. So when you started to feel this, and I've talked to a few guys about this, one of the first things we eliminate when we have these issues is the gym. Did you keep working out or running or
Yes.
whatever it is you do for fitness while you were doing this and still
Yes. So
okay?
that
Because
that
I know
was one of the big things that the psych was like, hey, like keep hitting the gym. Um, like if, as soon as you stop, like that's an indicator. Like let us know. And so for him, like that it became sort of a safety net. Like, and there were still days where like, hey, I don't feel like doing this. I just want to curl up in bed and just sleep. Um, but I made myself do it because that became sort of a safety check for me. Like, hey, am I still hitting the gym? I mean, I cut out pre-workout because I was trying to cut caffeine because one of the things they realized was like, hey, your cortisol levels and your stress levels are off the charts. Like, let's work on ways to bring that down. One of which is reduce your caffeine consumption. So like, I wasn't drinking coffee past noon anymore. I got rid of any sort of pre-workout that had caffeine in it. So I was like,
that sounds terrible.
oh, it was brutal. It was terrible, and I was like, "This sucks, man." Like working out, like hitting the gym, and I have a home gym in my garage, so I was like, I don't have an excuse
Well,
not to go.
I'd say, but that's even worse. No pre-workout, and then you want to take it one further. No headphones, no pre-workout, working out at home, just raw dogging it. Oof.
Yeah, but I didn't have an excuse. I was like, okay, like gym's right there. Like it's just you in the gym. Granted, I had a newborn at the time, but my wife was awesome where she was able to give me the time and the space I needed to go get the gym because she realized like, hey, this is part of your recovery process. Like working out, especially as a team guy, like because that became part of your personality or part of your not just a job, but identity, like, hey, this is important. He needs to go do this. But yeah, so gym, definitely that's a big one. Like if you are already physically inclined, like continue to do that.
Remember, really in the course, regular army for me as well, and even a little bit in group, when other people were sucking or having a hard time, I seemed to feed off of that. And I know a lot of other guys did too. People, I was a big complainer. So I would feed off of my own sucking as well, which is a weird, vicious cycle. But, and then I'll tie that into just because you're having a bad day doesn't mean you can't get anything done. So we tie that into, okay, how can I'm having a bad day. Okay, well, fucking figure your shit out. Because I heard this saying a while ago. I think it was on some podcast. I said, there's, sayings around sundials. It's like, what did you get done today? And then the result of that was, if you didn't get anything done today, you've lost a day. You can still have a successful day. That's why I do my wrap up every day. What did I get done today? What did I do today? Because it like reaffirms I actually got shit done today. I didn't just sit down here and fucking feel sorry for myself,
Hmm.
or didn't have a great workout or things like. I still got shit done. Still kept it going because it it's, what's it called? Binary, right? One or zero, good or bad. Well, that's that's subjective in some of these cases. So you can still get shit done. You're the boss.
Absolutely.
Like even I get it. Like I've been depressed. I've been tired. I've not wanted to do anything. Still get something done. I still get my posts out. I still do this. I still drag my ass out of bed because the alternative is so much worse. I know
Hmm.
where I've let the bottle try to kill me, and can't let that happen. We got to get something done and move forward in a positive light. Otherwise, you lose a day. And how many days have we lost in the past where you're like, oh, fuck, I didn't do anything. I sat in bed. I stole from the future's happiness to be happy now. And then I just lost a day or 2 days of sitting around doing nothing or feeling sorry for myself because I had fun in the past. Well, the past is gone. It's over. Got to be, as you said, get to that even keeled moving forward.
And
Um,
that's one of the things the gym allows you to do. Like, if nothing else, like, all right, hey, maybe today was rough, but hey, I got a good workout in. I went
if you're
for a
having a
run.
bad day, go to the gym. If you're having a good day, go to the
Go to
gym.
the gym. Yep, exactly. Yeah, one of the things it took me a while to realize my command team was super supportive when I first, raised my hand. I was like, hey, some stuff's going on, and they're like, hey, let's get you home. I mean, I was forward deployed. They were like, hey, let's bring you back to the AOB, get you sitting in front of somebody, like, see what they think. Like, yeah, okay, like, could he stay here? Yeah. Would he benefit more from getting home and being able to focus on his recovery? Like, absolutely. So they sent me home, and that worked out because I ended up actually, like, my son was born not too far past that. Um, but the challenge became like, hey, we want to give you as much time and bandwidth as you need to focus on your recovery, which was good. But then if there was a day where I like, hey, I'm gonna just focus on this thing instead of, as you talked about, like, just get shit done. Go do other things instead of just perseverating on this. Like, go to the gym, you got something to do around the house, you got a honey-do list, whatever the case may be. Go to the range if it's okay, but like, go do something else. Because if you sit there, like, the worst place I could possibly be was sitting in a room by myself alone with my thoughts. Like, that was not a good place to be at all. And I would imagine for most guys, like, that's also probably not a good place to be, right? Because, like, you're, and I know we've all heard the adage, like, your mind plays tricks on you. Dude, it's fucking true. Like, your brain will lie to you. It, like, especially the emotional side of the brain, will directly confront your your uh, logical side. And I saw it so many times with myself where, like, my emotional, I was like, well, what if this? Like, what if this had happened? Or what if I was this person? And logically, I'm like, well, that didn't happen and I'm not that person. So why is this even a conversation that I'm having with myself? But my brain, my emotional part of my brain was so convinced that this was true in spite of, like, there is objective factual evidence contrary to this, right? Like, hey, I'm living in Texas. No, I'm not. I'm fucking, at the time I was in North Carolina. Like, I'm clearly in North Carolina. This doesn't make any sense. So being alone with your head and your thoughts by yourself is not an ideal place to be versus, like, hey, you know what? I'm just, my thoughts are going to just run their course, but I am going to, like, stealing one from my team when I was on Cephalic, like, hey, find work. When you're in the house, go find something to do, not just sit there and perseverate with your thoughts. And so, like, there were days where, like, hey, I don't feel like doing anything. I'm gonna go hit the gym. Okay, I still, like, that workout sucked because there was no pre-workout. I still don't feel like doing anything, but, like, what else can I do? And I would, like, look around the house, like, all right, I could do the dishes. I need to, the dog just pooped all over the floor. I got to clean that up. Like, find work, find something else to devote energy to, because if you don't, I found that, like, you will devote energy to, focusing on your depression or your anxiety or whatever the injury is. Intrusive thoughts, however that manifests, like, that is what you will inevitably focus on. So I know it's a weird dynamic. Um, trying the human brain can't process negative thought cues, right? So if I tell you don't think about something, so for like a little thought experiment, like don't think about a purple elephant dancing over your head. And I use that example because that was the one they used with me. Like naturally, the first thing, at least I did, and a lot of guys probably think about is a purple elephant dancing over their head. So your mind cannot process negative cues. When you say don't think about this, your brain's going to be like, don't think about that. Like, why not? So choosing instead to focus on something else in lieu of trying not to think about that thing is a much more effective mechanism. So like the end result is the same, right? Like I'm not thinking about this thing, but it's how you got there, right? If that makes sense. So like I'm not thinking about this not because I'm trying not to think about it, but because I'm choosing instead to think about something else. And it took me a year really to like figure that out and accept it and come to terms with it. And like if the purple elephant pops up over my head, great, there it is, cool, it's there. Acknowledge it, and then just go about whatever it was I was doing before. And I think that's probably a much more effective mechanism, having stuff to do, getting something done, and like not losing a day instead of just sitting there doing nothing, even though you probably don't feel like doing anything.
Yeah. There's a difference between productive and neurotic. So working just to keep your mind off of things and alcohol or the gym or a lot of these things, they can be a pause button to putting off your problems until later. So one thing that popped into my head here is you said you wanted to touch back on other guys' stories and talking about
Hmm.
things. That's one avenue to say, hey, is this normal? Because going back, you have experience with your mental health, but a professional talks to a lot of people. I'm not a professional, but I do talk to a lot of people, so I tend to hear the same little stories over and over again in little pieces. Everybody shares little pieces of their stories that overlap. So, at what point are you able to realize that I need a coach? Now, a coach can be a professional. A coach can be another team guy, your mentor, the master sergeant. You could be your team sergeant, telling you what to do. So, like, what point do you realize I don't have the tools I need to adequately deal with what I have going on?
I think when you make that realization, when you start to when you recognize there's a problem or an issue or a challenge, but you don't know the fix, right? And SF guys, like we're problem solvers. And that's one of the issues is like we like to fix problems and like hey, like if there's a problem, this is the solution. Let's apply the solution. Problem solved. Next problem. Cognitive health treatment doesn't work that way. But I think identifying the right mentor is key, or identifying the right coach. Um, Got to be somebody that you trust. You trust their judgment, and then it needs to be somebody that like you talked about, maybe doesn't have to be a professional in that field, but has experience, or maybe even can direct you to the appropriate resources and say, hey, like I don't really have much experience with this or professional training with this. However, here are the resources that I can get you to, or like encourage you to go get access to those resources, if that makes sense.
And what about sharing with your teammates and people that may have the similar things? Because you said you wanted to get back on that. Why?
So I think I didn't, and again I didn't realize this till like 2 years into my recovery, but like I think the power of storytelling and sharing the individual narrative is huge towards like a from an individual recovery perspective, like that helps immensely, right? I have found, me personally, the more I talk about it, the more open I was about having depression, having that diagnosis, being on the medication, like the less ashamed I felt about it, right? Initially, I didn't want to tell anybody, right? Like I remember at one point meeting up with my closest friend group, um, and like working very hard not to let on that, hey, I'm back home early from this deployment because of depression and I'm on medication right now. Um, and then I was like, why was I so afraid about telling these guys? Like, what was wrong? What was I worried? What was going to happen? And so then I told them one day, I called them all up and I was like, hey guys, this is what's going on. And they were all like, hey bro, super supportive. I got it. Like, thanks for telling us. Um, like, do you want to talk about it? Um, some of them even were like, hey man, yeah, like sometimes I feel that way too. So the more I did that, the more people I told, which again was a very small circle initially because I was still, I think, grappling with that shame. Um, the less shameful I felt about it, right? And it helped me start to look at it more as just an injury. It's like using the power of storytelling to shift that perspective away from, hey, this is some mental health disease to this is a cognitive injury, right? Or like one of the common analogies that I like to use is a cognitive stress fracture. No one's ashamed about breaking their leg. No one's afraid to tell somebody that they broke their arm. But dudes are terrified to let people know, like, hey, I've got depression or I've got PTSD or whatever the case may be. Guys are, especially teen guys, are absolutely terrified of letting people know that. And I'm like, hey, what if we got dudes to look at this from the lens of like, hey, this is just like any other injury. It's just like a cut or a bone break or a muscle tear or strain. Like, don't look at it like some terminal, what was it, mental illness, right? I hate that term because like the implication is that there A is something intrinsically wrong with you as a person, and B that it's this illness that you contracted, and that's I don't think a healthy way to look at it. Um, and the other reason I really like story and narrative is because, like you said, it helps guys realize like, hey, I'm not alone. This is a common thing, right? Like a lot of other guys are going through this similar, if not the same experience as what I'm going through, and I feel like that helps illuminate the reality that like, hey, this is actually pretty common. Like we just don't talk about it for whatever reason. So like it's not this, terrible terminal thing that, very few people get and you are in the minority and somehow deficient because you experience depression or you get diagnosed with depression. Like, no, actually, that's pretty common. A lot of it just goes unreported and undiagnosed, and it's okay. I think that's the big thing is like commonality equals kind of goes back to what we talked about. What is normal? Like, hey, human beings experiencing depression periodically or anxiety, like that is normal. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it, right? Like wrong implies morality, right? If it's not right, it must be wrong. Well, no. Like there's no morality attached to any other sort of injury, right? Like a broken leg isn't bad. Well, I mean it is. It sucks, but like it's not like wrong.
All that shit's made up too. Morality's made up. It's all everybody's got a different perspective based on your where you grew up, where your parents raised you, your religion, all that other shit. All that shit's made up as well. You can go all the way down to 0 to 100%. You think everything's wrong till you think nothing is wrong. So that's all made up too. I think, and even I know in many cases that guys aren't scared of talking about it. They're scared of the second and third order effects of talking about it because that is devastating. Um, uh, Not being able to be on a team, not being able to do exactly what you trained to do for so long,
Hmm.
and then you can't even see it. Like real cognitive injury in my case, like physical injuries, but you can't see that. Same with a lot of the symptoms that go along with it. You can't see shooting pains down your spine and through your brain. Like you can't see that shit. And then you talk about uh, self talk, right? Or your thoughts, being alone with your thoughts. Is there anything wrong with me? I can't. I know I'm experiencing these things, but is there really something wrong with me? I'm fine. And then maybe you know, convince yourself that you're fine, and then you're like, but you still can't do it because the doctor's you're not fine, and then you still can't go back, and then you get depressed about that. So there's a lot that go into it because yeah, I don't. It seems there is a level of acceptance among friend groups, and if people don't accept that you want to talk about your feelings or your injuries or things like that, they're not your fucking friends. Like they might just be other people that have to be with work with you legally, like in the military. They have to hang out with you, but they're not your fucking friends. Your friends, they don't. They're like, cool, dude. Yeah, I got that shit going on too. It's the other things that go along with it, or the perceived thought. Because I
Hmm.
bet you didn't think your command team was going to be as accepting as they were. Some of them aren't. Some of
I
them don't
didn't.
fucking
Yeah,
care.
yeah.
So
I've heard there's one story in particular of a guy um, who like his command team was not supportive at all, and they tried to uh, I guess like chapter him out. And like there might be some other additional information. I don't know the full circumstances behind his story and his experience, but like his experience and my experience were polar opposites. So they are not all, unfortunately, the command teams are not all the same.
yeah, and that's going to influence your decision on, do I raise my hand up? Do I take a knee? Do I do this? And as tough as it is, as hard as it is, you have to make. I said this in a reel the other day. You are the only person that has to live your life. At the end of the
Mm,
day, you are going to be the old man or old woman sitting in the chair, reflecting back, thinking on all the decisions you made. Did I make those decisions for me, or did I make them because of what I thought other people thought of me? And that's not the way to go about it. And we are going to think that way sometimes. It's very easy for me to sit in this chair and say, this is the way you need to think. This is, you need to, you need to, no, some days you're going to think like that. And some days you're not. You got to, as you said, more good days than bad. It's cheesy sayings, all these cheesy sayings and monikers. We keep saying these things over and over again, but they're simple. They are simple and they work. And we just keep, as long as you just keep progressing and keep moving in a positive direction. And if it's okay to fuck up, that's fine. Um, it's even okay to fall off, and but you gotta, try and move forward and things like that. I know it's fucking hard. I fucking understand. I know it is. But it's okay to say, hey, I've got this shit going on. And if I don't take care of it, whew, things are going to get so bad. So
yeah. So there, my therapist one day when I first couple weeks, right, I was unloading on him. I was like, here is everything that's going on. Like I am hyper dedicated to fixing this, right? Like I'm gonna be as transparent as I can. Here is everything from start to finish. Like how do we fix this? What are we doing? And so the one of the points at one point that led me to that decision was I was at home one day and I was like I just felt like a terrible human being, right? And I had been feeling this way for months and I was just so fucking exhausted of feeling like a piece of shit. And I just remember thinking one day like, man, I'm so tired of this. Like I don't want to feel this way anymore. Like, well, my Glock 19 is in my bedside table. And to me, I was like, oh fuck, like does that mean I'm suicidal? Like alarm bells started going off, all sorts of shit. Um, but I kept it to myself because like, hey, I don't like the notion of the third and fourth order effects if I say something about this. So I sat on it, tried not to tell anybody, tried to like make it like I'm gonna make these thoughts go away. I'm going to choose not to think about that thought. Didn't work, obviously. Fast forward a couple months, deployed, came home, getting help, and my therapist was like, you weren't suicidal. You were just, your brain was trying to find a solution to a problem. And the problem was you didn't like the way you were feeling. And he's like, I bet you if, we took a bunch of team guys, sat them down in the room, had everybody put their heads down and say, all right, or close your eyes, whatever. And like, all right, raise your hand if you've ever thought like, hey, you know what? I just don't want to wake up tomorrow. I just don't want to be here tomorrow. At least once in your life. Like if you ever had that notion, no intent to act on it necessarily, but if that thought has crossed your mind, And his supposition was that like, hey, you're probably going to see a lot of hands go up. But like again, everybody's eyes have to be closed and there's no repercussions for saying this. But he was trying to illustrate like that is a very common thing that like, and he even regaled me with some of his own experiences where like, hey man, sometimes I've been like, hey, I wonder, what would it be like if I just ran my car off the road? I'm like, no, not great probably. So anyway, I'm just going to keep driving on the road, but highlighting like, hey man, this is common. It's like it's normal, right? And so if you're sitting there asking yourself like, is something wrong with me? Like probably not in the way that you think, but also like there's only one way to find out, and that's to go ask the question. You know, you're talking about third and fourth order effects. Like that is like literally, I was I was deployed, and it was just getting worse and worse, right? I was hoping that like the deployment would provide me some distraction, like hey, this will give me something else to focus on outside of what I did not know at the time, but was like anxiety and depression and intrusive thoughts. Give me something else to distract me. That didn't happen. It got way worse. And I just remember like sitting in my room thinking like, hey man, I'm starting to sound like one of these vignettes that we always hear, like, oh, and I was like, if one of my guys were to come up to me and say, hey man, I feel some kind of way about this right now, like what would I do? I'm like, hey dude, we'll get you help. Like nothing we're doing here is worth what's going on with you. Like it's not worth losing you as a person. Like let's get you help. And so being able to apply that to myself, but then my brain came back, it's like, well, but maybe I'll lose my security clearance because of what's going on, or maybe I'll lose access to my firearms, or maybe I'll just get kicked off the team, or all three. And I was like, those were all very real concerns that I had, and like I grappled with that for a long time because I was like, I worked so hard to get to this point on a team, and just to lose it all, and I was like, at a certain point, I just remember like almost like killing my ego off for like, all right, hey, you know what? Like ego Nate just needs to like take a back seat because this is all irrelevant, right? Like if like my concern was that I had become so depressed that I was suicidal, which wasn't the case, but that's what my concern was. I was like, if this is what I think it is, and I end up killing myself, like none of that matters. Whether like not gonna have guns anyway, I'd be dead. Not gonna be on a team, I'd be dead. No security clearance, I'd be dead. So like all those concerns are irrelevant if you're not here. And so like you're also, again, this was a conversation I was having with myself, like you're worrying about things that you don't even know for sure could happen, right? Like you may not lose your security clearance, you may not get your guns taken away, you may not get kicked off a team, but you don't know that until you try to cross that threshold. And then like the focus on the 25-meter target in front of you was my uncle was a team guy. When I asked him many, many, many years ago, like, hey man, what advice do you have for a would-be Green Beret? And he was like, focus on the 25-meter target, like solve one problem at a time, and then deal with the next one and the next one and the next one. And so being able to apply that to seeking help, um, now I've got the benefit of hindsight, and I can say, hey, look, you don't lose your security clearance. Like the SF-86 has actually been adjusted to accommodate people getting help. It's like being on meds or getting treatment in and of itself, not going to get your security clearance revoked. All they care about is, do you still retain good decision making process? Do you still exhibit sound judgment? Like, has that been compromised? No? Okay, cool. You can maintain your security clearance. Getting your firearms taken away. Not what happened. I chose to get them out of my house out of an abundance of caution because I didn't know what I was dealing with. So I called my wife on the way home and I was like, hey, like, baby, you want to get the guns out of the house? And she's like, oh, yeah, your mom already came up and took them. I was like, oh, perfect, cool. Um, but again, nobody from the command side or from the provider side was like, hey, he can't have access to guns. And nobody initially was like, hey, we're going to kick you off the team. It was like, okay, hey, we'll send you home. You're still in the spot. Let's talk with the providers and see how long this is going to take. Okay, hey, this is going to take longer than however long we thought. The deployment will be over by then. Also, I had been a detachment commander for 2 years, so like I was already at the end of my rope. Um, so that worked out. But like, there's no guarantee that any of those things were going to happen, and I had to silence my ego in order to be able to make that decision, as you said, like for myself, not for what other people might think of me or what I think might happen. Like, hey, this is for me. This is for my wife and my kid. Like, if I'm not here to help them, then like, what for what? So I can maintain a security clearance and so I can have access to guns. Like, that's when I framed it that way, I was like, this is kind of silly. Like, this is why am I even having this conversation with myself? So that was my experience.
Yeah. Unintentional dark joke on your part while talking about suicide is that you're at the end of your rope as a detachment commander. Very
Oh,
dark,
what?
unintentional joke.
See what I
So
did there?
I do. I hope the listeners at home caught it. So you said one thing, right? I said, none of that matters. And I heard a quote the other day, and I'm butchering it, but it's like 100% you're going to die one day. And there's a very good chance you're going to die as an old man, and no one is going to remember you. So why not do everything you can to accomplish your goals now? And it's more of a motivational thing, but you can apply it to what you were saying. Like, none of this shit matters. Like, none of it matters. Nobody's gonna remember. They've got their own shit. Everybody has their own fucking problems to deal with all the
Exactly.
time, and their own things to worry about. They're not worried about you. They might see a post you put up or a video you put up, and they might remember some snippet out of it, but they're not gonna remember you. They're not gonna remember me. There's nobody. Eventually, everything goes to zero. Eventually, on a long enough timeline, and just you 100% have to take care of yourself, your immediate self. And if you don't do that, you can't affect meaningful change on the people around you and help the people around you. If you're fucking useless, like, I
Yep.
am mission ineffective right now. I can't
Yeah.
help a fucking soul. That's not helping anybody. It's definitely not
Yep.
helping you. It's not helping your
Yep.
family. It's not helping your friends. It's actually making things so much worse for everybody else because you're this dense black hole with a huge gravity dragging people into your problems, and that's not how to be. That's not how we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be helping one another, and we can only do that once we fix the shit we've got going on. And it's selfish almost to say, no, I'm good, and then it becomes everybody else's problem because you ain't good. You're not good. Uh, I'm not good, and I'm gonna self medicate, or I'm just gonna be a fucking shitty person, or an
Yep.
XYZ, right? And then it becomes everybody else's problem because you are too selfish to take care of yourself
Yep.
and do the things that are right. When you honestly write down in your notes or analyze what you've got going on. That's why I tell people in the gym, right? You know what a good rep is. Everybody knows what a good rep is. Be honest with yourself. That ain't it, man. That's not it. Fucking close your eyes and you can honestly tell me that's a fucking good, solid, countable rep. Okay. No, then fucking fix it, right?
Yep.
Fix your shit.
And a lot of those
Fix your
folks care
shit.
about you, so they're gonna devote time and energy to like, hey, he says he's good, but he's not good. Like, what's going on? Like, what do you need? Friends, family, teammates, like they're gonna try to help because they care. And
Yeah.
teammates at least will care about the mission. So like, hey, he says he's good, but he's letting this shit slip. He's not doing whatever role we need him to fulfill. Like, all right, we have to cover down now, which means we can't do our role as whatever.
Yeah. And yeah, that's a good way to get fired and never come back, right? You go away, get fixed, come back. Yeah, that can happen. But man, you get fired for some of those reasons, you're not coming back. There's no redemption from some of those things, like running
Yeah,
it in the ground.
it happens all the time with physical injuries. Like, hey man, you pulled something trying to max deadlift. Like, all right, hey, go get your shit fixed. We'll see you when we see you back.
Yeah. I mean, careful with the deadlifts, kids. Careful, careful. That's yeah. There are very few situations in SF where you're going to need a deadlift have twice your body weight. They're out there, but usually there's one big guy on the team that's been deadlifting his whole life. That's his whole life's mission. So
That's just one
uh,
move. That's all he's
that's
got.
why. That's why it's a team, man. Everybody's got different skills and different things. But we'll get into the moving forward and things. But you know, obviously, what started all this? Because you said you're 35 now. Team time started when 2019, you said. So you started the course in, I would assume, 17, and then you got 4 years of Army-ish. So you joined in what, 2012?
2013 is when I started active duty.
2013.
Yep.
Okay. So you ROTC or,
Yep. ROTC.
okay. Where'd you go?
Miami, Ohio.
I got it there behind you.
Yep.
What
Sneaky.
was the decision to, because you got to make that pretty early. So I'm just learning more about ROTC as it is, and there's different levels to that shit too. Like I
Hmm.
went down to Virginia Tech and
Yeah.
spoke to those kids. That looks like it fucking sucks. Were
Yep.
you? I mean, you're not
No,
at that
we
level, right? Because they're living in
no.
basic training for 5 years.
Yeah. It's like West Point light kind of.
Oh God,
Yeah.
I there
Terrible.
I can't imagine because I saw that. I walked into the room and the guy showed me around. He's a junior and he's like, "This is one of our freshmen." And it's fucking blank room. They're not allowed to have. They weren't allowed to have anything.
Yeah.
Like it's just bunks and chairs, and they've each got their computers, and everything is dressed right, dress all the time. And he
Yeah.
goes, "Yeah, it gets better when you become a junior and a senior, but now they got to learn discipline." And they're calling me sir and standing. It's just like, whoa, bro, I got a fucking beard. Calm down. Like I'm fucking not this way. I get it. So, but you're not that. Miami is not that
No.
level, right? You're once a week in
No.
uniform.
Yeah, so they did PT Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and then they did their military science classes Tuesdays, Thursdays. Thursdays were the only day you wore uniform around campus. Once a semester we would go do FTX, but I mean all it really was just teaching kids SUT essentially, because that's the mechanism through which Cadet Command was like, hey, we're going to evaluate these guys' leadership based off of how they do infantry stuff, and that's all it was. I mean, it was hey, you're a college like 80% of the time just a college student, and then the other 20% like you got to work out 3 times a week and go play in the woods with rubber rifles periodically. So,
Why'd you choose this path?
so I grew up in the military. Both my parents were in the Navy. Actually, started off in NROTC as a Marine Option Midshipman because I wanted to be on the ground. I ended up losing my scholarship due to alcohol. Had some beer in my dorm. That'll get you. We had a new '06 at the time. He was this was like 2009, so they were like big into the whole we're looking for reasons to cut people, no alcohol related incidents, zero tolerance, yada yada. I'm like, dude, as a college student, and like it's the Marine Corps, aren't you like expected to drink? Anyway, so that happened, lost my scholarship, and then had to do a lot of soul searching. It's like, what do I want to do? I still want to serve in the military in some capacity, like where the Marines are out. So, all right, Army's like the next obvious choice. Started looking into my options, and I decided pretty early on that I either wanted to end up in Ranger Regiment or Special Forces Regiment, and then just started backwards planning from there. I was like, okay, hey, you know what to do to get there? I probably need to lead soldiers in combat, and this was still during the height of the GWAT, so that was an assumption that that was a necessary thing because everybody leads soldiers in combat right now. Um, so it's like, all right, probably want to end up in a light unit somewhere in the 18th Airborne Corps that's going to deploy. SF does a lot of infantry stuff, so infantry background probably helps. I probably want to commission infantry. If I want to end up in a light unit as an infantry officer, probably need a ranger tab, so I need to go to ranger school. All right, in order to commission as an active duty infantry officer, I have to have a certain GPA, which I didn't have at the time. So I was like, all right, guess I'm just hunkering down and nerding out for the last year of my academic endeavors. But ended up working out, got infantry, started active duty 2013, went to the 101st, and then put in my packet for SFAS 2017, got picked up 2 years later, went to the Q course, graduated 2019, went right to a team, like within a month, and then deployed.
Funny, I was private. No idea what SF was. Like, no fucking idea. And I just was like, I got to get the fuck out of here. And things. But you're planning for these things, these assumptions. How how different it is, once the actual job compared to what you think it is, right? I got to be infantry. I got to have this. Really, I mean, really, the only requirement, and it's not even a requirement because it's only about 75% of the officers. There's a ranger tab, and I mean, I had a colonel on here. He didn't have a ranger tab. He's like, I just never got to go, man. Just shit never.
Yeah. There were a good amount of dudes in my Q course class that other captains didn't have ranger tabs, so it's not a require. It just made you inoculated against stupid shit, I think, or like misery. You're like, oh, okay, like you're gonna run around and get wet and cold. Like I've seen this before. Like, okay, I know how to just keep my head down and power through this.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
I don't know. I never got the opportunity to go. It'd be cool to have, but no, definitely not a requirement. People ask me that. Oh, do you have to have your ranger tab? I'm like, fuck no, bro.
No,
I know guys that fucking they. Who was I talking to the other day? He's like, some guys are making. Now this is just one guy. He's telling me in a different unit, and he goes, some guys are making E9 now with only static line jump master. Like they just never got to go to any schools, and that's just the way their path went. I'm like, that's fucking crazy,
that's
So
wild.
there's no fucking requirements. If you're gonna make it, you're gonna make it. Like,
Yeah, you'll get there if you're supposed to and you work your ass off. Yeah,
yeah, or they're grooming you. I used that the other day. You can be groomed for command, as
absolutely.
a E7 or as a fucking captain coming into group. The colonel's like, I like this guy. He's going to the top,
But
and
yeah,
then it don't matter what you fucking do. So, for the kids listening at home, sometimes everything's completely out of your control. You can put in all the work or none of the work, and still you're just going to end up somewhere. Um, and one of the only ways to get to the top sometimes is just to have everybody in front of you retire. Just got to outlast everybody. I had another friend that did that. Uh, that's so. But why Ranger Regiment? Why SF? It sounds like you're a pretty analytical guy, and you probably knew more than the average person. Why go for those tough units right off the bat, or shoot for that?
so my at the time, I again very young and immature, but I was like, well, the Marines are way better than the Army. Like they're much harder, more badass.
Obviously, they're obviously better. If you check the comments in some of my posts, yes, they
Yeah,
are obviously far
obviously
superior to
better.
all special operations units, all Ranger, everything. They're the best.
Yeah. And so to my mind, like the only Army equivalent of that, like the Army is just they're just all out of shape and fat and weak and slow and typical Marine crap. Um, or what are they like nasty? Oh, those Army guys are fucking nasty. Like, all right, whatever. It's like, all right, well then I have to be some sort of special operations in order to reconcile with myself that I'm in the Army and not the Marine Corps because that was my metric for what was acceptable was Marine Corps. Did some research into like the different missions, and I was like, okay, yeah, like these guys are getting after it. They're getting their gun on. Like I picked infantry because like I wanted to go get my gun on. I wanted to go fight bad guys, jump out of airplanes, break in doors, all that fun shit. Um, so I picked those two organizations because, like, hey, these dudes are at the front of the spear. Like, they are always involved in some capacity with something. Um, as I matured and spent time in the army, graduated college, got to the army, I was like, okay, the other reason I like these organizations is that, you have to want to be here, right? You have to choose to go to selection, you have to make it through a selection, get selected. None of those three things are guaranteed. Um, whereas like I ran into guys in the army, even in the officer corps, I was like, why the fuck are you here? Like you clearly do not want to be here. Like you have a serious case of buyer's remorse right now, where like you are just putting in the bare minimum time and effort, which kind of like how we talked about before, if you're not okay, then like other guys are gonna have to like you become a liability instead of an asset. It's like the rest of us are having to fucking cover down and take care of your shit because you don't want to be here. I was like, I do not want to deal with this. It's like, well, in SF, they're only going to be in SF if they want to be there. Ranger Regiment, same case. And then, I read Horse Soldiers with 595, and I was like, man, that is fucking cool. Like these dudes going into Afghanistan alone and unafraid, like that's what I want to do. I want to do that. Like, and to my mind, that became like, oh, this is what SF does. And so everything from then on became geared towards like, hey, okay, it's get to selection, like control what you can, be in the best shape that I can be, get to selection, and then after that, if the regiment decides like, hey, you're not what we want, okay, like you guys know what you're looking for, and if it's not me, it's not me. I hope it is, but if it's not, thanks for letting me try. Um, it all worked out in the end, obviously. But yeah, so Horse Soldiers, Chosen Soldier by Dick Couch, which I thought was kind of funny that they let a SEAL shadow through SFAS in the Q course. I thought that was kind of funny. But those two, I was like, man, this just sounds fucking awesome. Like reading about Robin Sage as much as you can on the open source, it's like, this sounds great. Like, who would not, why would you not want to go be a Green Beret? That's cool as shit.
Almost the exact same thing for me. Walked in the Marine recruiter's office. We can't take you because of tattoos. Walked 1 foot over to the Army recruiter's office. Said, "What's the hardest thing you got?" They're like, "Special forces." I couldn't do that because I colorblind or some shit like that. But they're like, once you get in, you can do it. Okay, so I've got in, got a waiver for something because I failed that little dot test, and then obviously here we are. So, but same thing. It's like, oh, I don't know about that. So I got to do something hard, and a small driving factor into succeeding was that. And you're right. You get in the army, and nobody wants to fucking be there. It seems like in the regular army. Like, why are you here? That's a good way to put it. And
Like you volunteered for this, like you realize that, right? Like nobody put a gun to your head and made, I mean, for the most part, like maybe there was a court order that you had to go enlist, but like 99% of the population, like you chose to do this.
yeah, I know that is pretty a pretty good way to put it. A lot of people just do seem like they don't want to be there. And we go back into what we said at the beginning, though. You don't know what's going on in somebody's mind, what they've been through, the deployments and things like that, and their situation at home. And it is even in the regular army. It can be. You can have a fucking shitty life in any unit, or you can have a great one. It all depends on the commander and the first sergeant, really, how shitty they want to make your life. They can have you there till 2000 doing inventory in the motor pool and dress with the tracked vehicles. Oh, we got to sweep the motor pool, um, dust storm or some shit like that. And it's really unfortunate that people have such a bad experience so often in the regular army that they get out or they just hate it there and they make it worse for other people. Uh, but yeah, that's a real thing.
It
People
is.
become disillusioned very quickly with the decisions they thought they were making, and then it comes time to reenlist, and they're like, "Wow, I'll do another 4 more years."
Yeah, what's another couple years?
What? Oh,
How
you're
much
gonna
was
give
that
me
bonus?
you're gonna give me Hawaii? Fuck yeah! And then they learn you're in the field like every fucking weekend in Hawaii or some shit like that. You don't get any time off. So, fuck. So why not Ranger? Why not Rangers? Why didn't you?
I didn't think you could do both with the officer pipeline. So because we have a very strict window as to when we can apply, I didn't think I could do Ranger Regiment and SF. I was wrong. There was at least one guy in my class who came from Ranger Regiment, captain type. So it wasn't so much that I didn't want to go there. It was more so like I don't know how to thread this needle. And like SF, at least I get to stay there. Ranger Regiment, I had like they have their whole charter where they have to go back to the regular army every once in a blue moon. Even though I've heard rumors of unicorns that manage to stay in regiment from the time they're lieutenants all the way to their majors, which again, that sounds like a very hard needle to thread. Probably depends largely on like what you talked about, where somebody else is grooming you, like the battalion commander or regimental commander is like, I like this guy, let's keep him in Ranger Regiment, not send him back to the 82nd or the 101st. So like I said, it worked out. I think I was happier with the SF mission because there was so much more that we could do. Um, than Ranger Regiment is very they're exceedingly efficient at what they do. Like work with a number of bad boys and like in a gunfight, there's nobody else I'd rather have. But like very narrow mission set too. Like hey, you are like break glass in case of emergency and like everything on that objective like must die. I remember in Ranger School in particular there was one like we had a bunch of bat babies in my Ranger platoon and they were like fucking Terminators. Like minimal rehearsals needed for those dudes to execute a flawless raid or an ambush. So like we could all be sleep deprived and we're like half fasting an op order kind of sorta, and like the Ranger Regiment kids are just like, ah, we got it, and they just like crush. Fuck man, like this is every day. So we got this. You guys do the op orders. We got this. Like a deal.
I've interviewed quite a few Rangers on here now, and they go, there's nothing like it. Um, you you get to PT and it's a competition. You go into Chow, it's a competition. You've got downtime, or we got the Ranger Handbook out. We're practicing battle drills. We're talking through them, going through op orders. You live, breathe, sleep, getting ready for Ranger School until you go to Ranger School. And your life fucking blows. Like some guys have even said Ranger School was like fucking time off because uh, regiment pre-ranger, they're like that was way harder than Ranger School was.
I believe it.
Fucking they fucking push their shit in. So I those guys are ready to go once they are in there. It's interesting though, right? They people will debate, oh, there's compared to these units. I mean, there's no fucking comparison. Like all these units are completely different. They have
Yeah,
completely
different
different
jobs.
budgets, mindset, different jobs. You can't compare them. Oh, who's the best? Well, fucking, I don't know. Who brings home the most people? I don't fucking know. Like, it's all a different mission, different set. You can't compare these things, just like different generations. You know, who do I think's the best? Fucking first group, obviously, but that's only to a point. You can change my mind. I don't know. Fuck, who knows? Who cares? I think it's fun to debate, but I think people get hung up too much on one unit versus another. But goddamn,
Yeah.
that's a that's a rough life. Like
Oh yeah.
they are fucking dedicated. I don't know. I think about it. I'm like, I don't know how well I would have done there. I think SF was the route for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
So, what is it? Those two units? Is it just to prove something to yourself? Like that's fucking hard. I want to do that, or is it you're trying to prove something to somebody else? Because you said you come from a military family, and there's always that you always want to outdo the people, your parents. Maybe you want to outdo them, or you're proving something to yourself or something to somebody else.
I think it was just myself because both my parents were in the Navy nurse corps, so they weren't like
I
tip
mean,
of the
it
spear or
could be
anything.
subconscious, so it could be subconsciously.
It could be,
Yeah.
but I think a lot of it was to myself that I could do hard things or like kind of like what you talked about earlier, like feeding off of other people's misery. Like, hey, I liked the idea of being able to do something that like somebody else can't do or won't do. So I was like, hey, you know what? Like, it's hard to be Green Beret. If it wasn't, there'd be Green Berets all over the fucking place, but they're not. So like, I'm gonna go do that because a lot of people can't, and even more people won't even try. So I'm gonna go fucking do it, or at least try to do it. And so I think that was like in a twisted way, like that was a significant motivator for me was like, yeah, I'm gonna go do this thing. You won't do it. I'll do it.
You guys get a short window of when you can go. So where are you at in the regular army at this time?
So I had just taken over the mortar platoon, so we came back from a deployment as a rifle platoon leader, and then I got picked up as the mortar platoon leader, which I thought was hilarious because we had to interview. A number of us interviewed for the specialty platoons and the infantry battalions. They have a scout platoon and a mortar platoon, and they both work directly for the battalion commander slash the operations officer, the major. Um, but you have to usually have one of two specialty schools, so either RSLIC for the scout platoon or MLOC, infantry mortar leaders course for the mortar platoon. I had managed to sneak an RSLIC slot when I was still going through my training pipeline at Benning. So I was already RSLIC qualified. So I was like, yeah, I figured I would go do the scout platoon thing. And they were like, cool, we're sending you to the mortar platoon. I was like, all right, I don't know dick about mortars, but we'll figure it out. So came to the platoon and I was like, hey man, like, can you teach me? Like, I understand functionally how you guys work, but like, I don't know shit about mortars. So like, let's school me up. So I had just done that, and I'd been in that seat for a couple months, and then I was like, hey sir, I'm gonna, you know, I will get the mortars ready because we had another deployment coming up, and I was like, oh, I'll be ready with the mortars to go. But just for your situational awareness, I'm going to apply for selection. And he was actually pretty cool about it. Not all battalion commanders, infantry battalion commanders specifically, are cool with dudes going, their officers specifically going to SF. Ranger Regiment, different story. They love it because they're like, hey, we created, X number of Rangers. It's a selling point for their organization. And then they also see it as like the infantry is not losing an officer. It's like going to Ranger Regiment, following the charter, you come back, improve the rest of the infantry branch. Whereas like if you leave to go to special forces, the infantry is losing an officer. It's going to special forces. And depending on that colonel's experience, they may not have a very high opinion of SF guys. This dude was pretty chill with it. Granted we were at Campbell, so a lot of fifth group dudes, and he was like, the more professional, the best teams he had run into were the more professional ones. So like guys out of fifth group. Um, but yeah, so I had what 10 months as a rifle PL and another 12 months as a mortar platoon leader. So I got lucky, had a lot of platoon leader time, and I had like phenomenal non-commissioned officers that I worked with. Guys made it very easy for me not to get fired, which was all I could ask for. Like, please help me not get fired.
So people going out and not fucking getting DUIs and beating their spouse and shit on the weekends and stuff like that.
Stuff like that, but also like, hey, let's not lose any property. Let's not fuck up too bad if we do something that was, like, hey, you shouldn't have done that objective, or hey, you should have done it this way. Like, mistakes are fine. We can survive mistakes as long as we're just not making it a data point. No toxic environment. Like we're all rowing in the same direction here. As long as we're all on board with that, then we're great. And like I said, both my platoon sergeants were awesome, great dudes, and squad leaders were good dudes. I just got lucky. I fell in on phenomenal organizations, so it made my job as a PL stupid easy.
What's your train up at the same time look like for selection?
So I actually I got very lucky for that because I was able to. I didn't come up with this idea, but my at the time he was our battalion XO. Awesome feel like I keep telling people like he is the only officer who could poach me from SF. Like he's the only guy that I would like. Okay, I would consider going back to the regular army and working for you. Like he was awesome because he actually gave a shit about soldiers. Like he this is a tangent, but he would like walk up and down the chow line, like stopping and talking to dudes, seeing how they were doing, like knew them by name, knew their families. And I was like, the fact that the battalion XO is out here, like talking with the guys, and getting to know him. And he's also not like he was a no bullshitter. Like he would, if something was stupid, he would say it was stupid, or like he was not afraid to tell the boss no, or maybe not no as much as an XO can tell the commander no, but like, hey sir, it's not a good idea. Like I don't think we shouldn't do this, and here's why. So he was awesome. But anyway, he was like, hey Nate, all right, so we're deploying. Obviously, you want to go to selection. I'll make a deal with you. You stay back here, be the rear detachment commander for the battalion, keep this place from burning down. In exchange, we'll let you obviously stay here. You can train for selection. You can train on your own. And I was like, cool. All right, neat. So now I don't have to go on this deployment and worry about like, because they were telling me, oh yeah, we'll get you home on an aircraft in time for your selection date. And I was like, yeah, but you guys can't even tell me like when we're going because of air, because you air is so inconsistent right now. Like, how are you guaranteeing me that I'll be home in time for selection? So this guy was like, now we're just not gonna play that fucking game. Like, you stay home and just keep the lights on. Like, okay. So I used the military athlete program to train up for that. So a couple buddies of mine from IBOLIC had gone through selection already, had been selected, and so they were like, "Hey, man, I used this program to good success. Like I would like in from a physical perspective, I was fine. I was in great shape. You know, obviously the mental piece, like, do you play well with others? Do you have the attributes they're looking for? Like, there's no way to prepare for that. Um, you just kind of you are who you are and hope that's what they're looking for. But like from a rucking perspective, like I was fine. I don't know any of my times or anything like that, but I know I finished fourth on the trek, and I was definitely I was pissed by the end of it because I was like, you know, as you get closer to McCall, you start going down those turns, and like I didn't know where the fuck anything was. So I'm like, where the fuck am I? Like, where is the end to this thing? Like, I know Camp McCall's right there. I can fucking see it. Like, what? Like, God damn it, where is the end of this fucking road? And then like I turn a corner and there they are. I'm like, oh hey guys. So, but like that was my train up. Like, just did follow that program. If anything, I did less because he in his programming he has you do like 18 and 20-mile rucks. And one of my buddies who came back, he was like, dude, don't do that. Like, just do 12, cap it at 12, because anything more than 12 miles, like, you're just breaking your body down. There's no return on investment at that point. So I opted for shorter rucks in order to like not injure myself.
Yeah, I I think the first 12 miler I ever did was in the Q course. And prior to selection, the longest ruck I ever did was 6 miles. I I focused just on the strength of my back and my legs, and then cardio, and the rest was just up to me. But it's interesting, you know. Now everything's evolved. There's training programs and detailed nutrition guides and all this other shit. Like my peers have gotten out, and they have these businesses built around getting selected, not just for special forces, but RASP or even harder selections like
Yeah.
combat controller or PJ. Like their selection's way fucking harder than ours is. Like it's
Yeah.
fucking you get in the pool,
Oh, oof.
what was Kevin at 18 Alpha Fitness, he was telling me, they've got fucking like 4, 6, 7 weeks of pre-dive before they go to their dive school and shit. And that's in the pipeline is so much dive schools in it, Halos in it, all these other fucking schools are in there. And I was like, man, some of those selections sound like they fucking suck.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, but all of them are divers. All of them are Halo. Like it's all secondary schools for us. So,
Yeah.
but
Maybe you get
it's
to it, maybe
crazy.
you don't.
Maybe, maybe not. Is it helpful? Has anybody ever used it? No. So um, now, well, Halo. Everybody's used Halo, but nobody's ever. Dive-in feels very, if it happened, it was top secret. But
Yeah, probably.
what was the Q course like for you on the officer side? Because everybody's got different opinions of how the things were. You guys are pretty quite. I feel like you guys are more closely watched than we are. Like it's
Yeah.
pretty easy for us. And it's and it's something else because one side of the coin is you guys are legally in charge. You guys are the officer in charge of the detachment, but fucking they put a lot of time into you guys to only have you on for 18 months. Like
Yep.
that's it. That's all you get. That's all your team time. If
If
you're
you're
if
lucky.
you're lucky, you get
Yeah.
that. And they just devote years into you guys for 18 months of that's it. That's all they require out of you.
I had a buddy down in seventh group who only got about a year.
Oh,
I was like,
when
dude,
was
that
when was
uh
that? I think
2019, 2020 probably.
wow, really they still had that many officers in that time frame. Wow.
Yeah. We were in the class together and I was like, hey man, how's it going? Like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm like battalion AS3 or some shit. I'm like, what? You're off a team already? He's like, yeah, man, I only got like 10 months, 12 months. I was like, that fucking sucks. Like, I am so sorry for you.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Why do it's interesting that they have so much. And then at one point, I mean, when I was in group, they didn't have any officers. We didn't have any. We had warrants running teams, so the warrant
When
would
I
just move over to the seat and then go back.
when I got to my active duty team, there hadn't been a captain there for 6 months. The warrant was the detachment commander. Yeah. So it was well, good and bad because they had developed a working relationship where like, hey, we don't need a captain, and then they introduced me right before the trip.
I had an officer on here, senior ranking officer, and he said no team needs an officer.
Oh no, they don't.
They do not. It's you're
No,
there to be a team leader or a team mascot, and you need to choose which one that you're going to be because they do not need you at
no.
all. They are going to be just fine.
The one of my best AOB commanders was telling me like and I had I had a hard time reconciling this until he told me because I thought something was wrong with me. And he was like, if you have a really good team, if you have a strong warrant and a strong Zulu, like you as the captain will feel fucking useless. Like you will literally be sitting there like, what value am I right now? Because like the warrant and the team sergeant are literally doing everything. Like I don't have anything to do. And he's like, it'll be uncomfortable. I was like, it was. It was like I was like, am I doing something wrong? Like, you guys sure you don't need me to like, no, we got it, sir. Like, okay. Well, I guess I'll go talk to the battalion. Like, you need me to go get some land or some like, no, we'll take care of it. We'll go to the BTO. Oh, okay. Uh, fuck, man. All right. Well, what do you need me to do? Well, we're good, sir. Like you said, they don't need a captain. Like they can. Could you be value added? Absolutely. Like being the face of the team, selling the team. That's kind of the role I took on was like the used car salesman to the battalion commander. It was like, hey, you should pick my team because we're fucking shit hot. Here's all the stuff that we're doing. Here are these cool storyboard pictures of the guys doing stuff like,
Storyboards. He brought up
yeah,
storyboards. Fuck
yeah,
yeah.
we always had to have like one guy in the proper uniform to take a picture of him to put on the storyboard because like, you can't have like certain patches or baseball caps for like, so who's going to be our sacrificial storyboard guy this time? Like it's your turn, man. Like you got to fucking wear the full get up. It's not so that we were always
Everybody's
safe.
in backwards caps and
Yeah.
like sleeves rolled up all the
Yeah.
way and like all the team patches. And then there's one dude that looks squared away
Yeah.
and he
The
just
team.
looks like a giraffe in a herd of penguins.
Yeah. Team baby. Usually the war baby. Like, hey, bud, you, as our junior Bravo, you got to fucking, you're going to wear everything. Good news is you'll be in all the pictures. Bad news is it's fucking 99 degrees outside and it's like 60% humidity. So don't worry, we got IVs on standby for you. You'll be fine, probably.
Oh my God. Third group. Yeah. That's, mm, I was
Good
just
times.
down there. It's humid. That sucks.
Yes.
I don't know. But one of the things about third is you can just stay there your whole
Oh yeah.
life. Like,
A
okay,
a good
I'm
buddy of
going to,
mine he's not left the entire time.
yeah, you don't go anywhere. You buy a house, your kids you got stabilization, unless you fuck up and then you're getting sent somewhere else. You're getting sent to do some tasking or things like that. But that is the one good thing about that. But man, you first and 10th, you can be fucking anywhere.
Yeah.
Everything's a PCS. Even TDY is basically a PCS. Like you're fucking hauling your ass all over the world to go do any school or any training or anything like that. Seventh as well. Fuck, are all over the place. But yeah, that is the good thing about third. Is that where you wanted to go?
Yeah, I picked third for a couple reasons. One, I looked at the AFRICOM AOR is a continental sized problem set of the same variety that we saw in Afghanistan, where, not a whole lot of, like in Afghanistan, everything was tribal, it was ethnic, not a whole lot of national identity, which created a lot of white space for insurgencies to grow. And I was like, okay, well, a lot of African nations, they don't necessarily view themselves by that respective national identity, whether it's Nigerian or whatever. It's, hey, it's whatever ethnicity I came from. And so I was like, there's a lot of white space for insurgencies to grow. And so I looked at it as like, there's a big job market, a lot of work to be done in Africa, if we are allowed to do it. And I was right. I mean, I like we when we got there, I was like, okay, yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. We're just right now not after especially after Tongo happened, just not a whole lot of appetite for letting teams go out and get after it. At least not right now.
Oh yeah, we'll plug Michelle Black's book, Sacrifice. Go get yourself a copy about the Niger ambush in 2017. Update. His award is getting upgraded. Michael Black's Bronze Star is getting upgraded to a Silver Star. So that's
Hell yeah.
new in the news the last couple days. So you got where you wanted to go, going like this. Things are going well for you, and then you get to group. Now you said at the beginning, like I gotta be this guy to get to this position. How is your view, your incorrect view, changed to now you get to a team, you're like, this is nothing like I expected. What is that like walking into the team room?
Um, that was hard because so like go especially in the Q course where the captains are not obviously like this the you're the officer amongst all the non-commissioned officers, but like you are relied upon pretty heavily for your experience because you have a good number of 18 X-rays. So like captains have a lot of input in the Q course, for their respective student ODAs, where it's like, hey, sir, what do we do? Or like, help us get to this end state. So you are much more involved in the Q course, and so that to me shaped my expectation of this is what an 18 alpha does. Like this is what I'm supposed to do. Got to a team, polar opposite, right? Like, hey, you are not really involved. Like we keep talking about, the team functions just fine without you. They don't need you to do stuff. In fact, they would probably prefer it if you didn't get involved so you don't fuck it up. Um, and so that was hard for me because like I picked SF because hey, there's only one of as a captain, you're one of 12 guys, right? You don't have the luxury of like, well, the Joes will take care of it because there's no Joes. And that was never my approach anyway. Like I want to be involved, right? Like I want to participate in this. I'm not just here as a fucking tourist, right? Like I want to do SF shit. I want to be a part of this solution. A lot of teams, or at least my team, was a very strong team. That was not what they needed their captain to do. Um, so that was a hard adjustment for me, and it I think took the entirety of that first deployment and then some before I found my role, before I found my niche, because I was like, okay, do you guys need me to go do this? No, we don't need you to go do that. Like, do you need me over here? Don't touch that. Oh, okay. Don't, like, what do you need me to do? Like, how am I going to be value added to this organization? Because I'm not just here to sit in a corner and color. Um, and that's like, to me, like, I joined SF because like that, I wanted to have fun. Like the SF mission seemed fun. Sitting in a corner and coloring is not fun to me. Like I had no designs on anything post team time. Like I was like, I'm not, I don't care if I make AOB commander or battalion. Like I don't give a shit. Like to me, team time's where it's at. Like I want to be on a team doing team stuff. So that was a hard adjustment. And I think that my second AOB commander, when he framed it of like, hey, if you have a strong team, a good warrant and a good Zulu, like you're gonna be uncomfortable because you're not gonna have a whole lot of stuff to do. And so I was like, this is kind of boring then, man. Like Q course 18 Alpha Life was fun because you're in it, you're doing the stuff, you're busy. Like Detachment Commander 18 Alpha Life is kind of boring because they don't really need my help to do stuff. So I'm just going to answer emails and kind of be the shield between the team and the B team and the battalion when they're throwing stupid shit at us. Like, yeah, we're just going to fucking ignore that and it'll go away or it won't, and then we'll deal with it. Like, but that was really it, being that filter between the crap that battalion was trying to push down on us or the B team from time to time, but then also turning around and selling the team back to the AOB and to the battalion specifically. And I think that once I figured that role out, that really helped us get the mission that we got on our second trip because of, I mean, we objectively we were the best team in the company, and that's not just me saying that because I'm biased. Like they did a rack and stack, and our team placed first. And then I think battalion had us ranked as like second in the battalion. I would imagine I would, I'm biased. I'm gonna say we were first in the battalion because why not? Um,
There's
but
nobody here to refute any of this
exactly,
evidence,
like
so
prove me wrong.
you can say whatever
But
the
it
fuck you
was,
want, really.
yeah, it wasn't because of me. It was like it was a they were a fucking phenomenal team. Like solid guys, strong warrant, strong team sergeant, and like everybody just clicked. The where I found my value and was like trying to help sell the things to them and make it so that like, hey, we have this mission coming up that focuses on these specific METs and KCTs. It just so happens that we've done training X, Y, and Z that facilitates these METs and KCTs. Check this out. Look at all this other shit that we did that other teams aren't doing. And that was where I found my role. And I hate to use the term used car salesman, but that's kind of how I felt. It was like trying to sell the ODA to the BC, like, hey sir, pick us because we're the best. Watch us go do shit.
The Q course makes 95%. Well, as what's 112? 112 is eight. What is that? 8 to 96, 8.5%, right? 8.5% of the team is an officer, the officer, right? And the rest is team guys. Even the warrant was a team guy. So the Q course makes primarily E7s, right? You can be an E7 forever. You can stay on a team. You can go be an instructor. You can go be this, that, every school, everything, right? You can do everything, still be an E7, and then retire an E7. For you guys, uh, it's really they're just trying to make majors, right? Like trying to find a major because once you get to major, then you can stay there the rest of your time. And if you're not going to make major, you have to go back to the regular army. Go do your thing over there, and then you'll make major out there, and maybe lieutenant colonel. You'll have a much better shot at lieutenant colonel over your peers coming in with a tab and things like that. Or people will fucking hate you
Bit of
because
both.
that officer didn't make it. So there's resentment at every level, right? But NCO side, where they're making E7s. For you guys, they're looking for majors, battalion XOs, and battalion and company commanders, really. And that's the pipeline for you guys. They don't really, all the officers get to be team leaders. They all do. They're going to take a team, and does it work out? Doesn't work out? Can you take a company? Can you be the battalion XO? Is really the thing for you guys. What they're trying to train for, and that's not the Q course. They don't
Yeah.
tell you that part. They're like,
Nope.
because command, they need to staff the staff regiment. Okay, there's your tryout. Here's your tryout. You get a team. Okay, we think that you could probably make it, and so we're going to move you to AS3. Okay, you did well there. Okay, you're going to go take the skills company or something like that or whatever. Um, do you think that hard adjustment contributed to some of the issues that you had
Oh
later
yeah, I
on
think
down
so.
the road? Okay.
I think so. I think I think that was part of it. Um, One of the reasons that led me to that self exploration was, some professional dissatisfaction, not just with what my role as an 18 Alpha was, but also where I saw SF, the things we were doing, the things we weren't doing. And at first I thought like, hey, maybe this is just me, right? Like maybe my expectations were not appropriately managed. But then I talked to my warrant and my Zulu, and they were like, "Oh no, dude! Like this is fucking lame. Like it used to be way more fun than this. Like we used to like Afghanistan was awesome. 5 Ws to get out the wire. Now I gotta submit like a 50-page con op and have it, read all the way up to the Pope to get it fucking approved, and even then it might get denied. And I was just like, yeah, this fucking sucks, dude. Like, this isn't fun. I'm not having fun. I remember coming home from my first SF deployment, and I remember telling my wife, I was like, I don't feel like a Green Beret. Like, if that's what a Green Beret deployment was, like, I like having read Horse Soldiers and Roughneck 9-1 and Not a Good Day to Die, and the only thing we're dying for, like, I don't feel like I served in the same organization that those dudes were in. Even though, like, they're Green Berets and I'm a Green Beret, like, it's like checking, is the hat still on? Yeah, it's still there. Like, I'm not insane. I just, like, what the fuck was that? And then it got worse as time went on. You know, the operational deployments started to dry up. Um, the operational deployments that were still available were not kinetic. And, you know, one of the reasons I picked third group was I had been told, and my understanding was that third group and fifth group were the meat eater groups, right? Like if you want to go shoot people and no one's going to know about it, go to third group. If you want to go shoot people and everyone's going to know about it, go to fifth group. You know, you had what, Charlie 27, I think, is the seventh group battalion. That was the go to war battalion down in seventh group. So like I'm sure each group has their own respective maybe battalion or company in there that like, hey, these are the guys that go get their gun on all the time. But like third group and fifth group, at least to me, were told like, hey man, these are the like we like to just go break shit and shoot stuff. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And then I got to third group and it was like, man, we don't really do that anymore. No more breaking stuff because again, Tongo Tongo I think had a significant impact on. Um, I don't know if it was regimental wide or if it was just third group specifically, but like it seemed like we were just hyper risk averse, like to the point where you know my second team sergeant was the B team Fox on our first trip, and I remember him telling me a story where they were like we were looking at a guy and they were like, is it possible he has a PKM? And they were like, no, we have seen nothing that would indicate that. And he was like, yeah, but is it possible? And he's like, well, it's possible he's got a tactical fucking nuke, but like, is it likely? Like, no. And they had gotten to the point where they would find reasons to not go after guys or not to do things because like, well, it could be dangerous. Like, well, yeah, if it wasn't dangerous, then we wouldn't be here. Like, you wouldn't need us. You would have just sent somebody else or nobody. And so I felt extremely disenfranchised when I came back after that first trip, especially adding to that, like, hey, man, you know, being an 18 Alpha is not as fun as I thought as it was. Like, I'm not really very involved. I'm pretty bored. Um, so maybe I should go do something else. Like, do I want to do this for 10 more years? Especially if, you know, if this is going to be the peak, like, do I really want to be an AOB commander? Because I had seen what one did in Garrison now, and I had seen what one did on deployment, and like no part of that appealed to me. I was like, I like some dudes are like, oh, I want to go be a commander or I want to go lead an AOB. Like, in my observations, dude, you don't really lead shit. Like ODAs are pretty self-sufficient. Like you don't need to lead an ODA. You're not telling like team one flank left, team two flank right. Like that's not how we function. So you're really just the approval authority for shit and the signature authority. So you don't command dick. Like when you think of Hal Moore as the commander, or who's another one? Fucking dude from
That's
Band of Brothers.
that's
Like,
not our job, though. You know, you're saying all these things. You know, the mission of our mission is not any of those things that are cool that you're describing, though. So
yeah,
we got sucked into the global war on terror as this adrenaline. Even, I'm hung up on it. That's not an SF guy's job, and I still can't get over that I didn't do a combat deployment. Like every day, I think about it. Like, and then I talk to people out here and go, that's not the fucking job. That's not an SF guy's job. We just were fucking better at it than everybody else at what we were asked to do. But there were units that was their job. They went now like Rangers. If you that they did it the
yeah,
entire time, the whole fucking time, supporting Delta, supporting everybody else, and all these other crazy shit. And you talk to those guys, and they're like, that was, they did it so much it was horrible. Like, hey, those guys got some fucked up stories doing their job. That's not. We do get sucked into that. Yeah, it's cool, but it's not. That's not.
yeah.
It was not our mission set. We're murderous teachers, basically,
And part of
is
that, I
what it
think, is
breaks
our
down
is
to.
our recruiting. And that's what I told the group commander on the way out, because we were talking about when when you leave, you do your exit interview, and I was like, hey sir, like, I know we're having a recruiting and a retention issue right now. Like, maybe we need to be honest brokers with the guys that we're recruiting. Like, don't don't sell guys the Afghan experience. And this was 2022, 2021, 2022. It's like, don't sell guys like the Afghan experience of like, you want to grow a beard and run around mountains with dual tubes and like bunch of indige and like chase bad guys and shit. Like, because guys are gonna look at that and go, fuck yeah, that sounds awesome. And then they get upset when they arrive and like, hey, but this isn't what we're doing at all. Like, just be honest with dudes. Be like, hey, man, this is what we're doing. We're doing a lot of J sets. We're doing a lot of other operational stuff, other projects. Like, that's what we're doing. As much as you can broadcast certain things. Like, just be honest.
No, I am. I will be critical on group or and SWIC as a whole on this. They don't know what they're doing with the recruiting because things are changing. Group is shrinking. Like regiment as a whole is shrinking. We do not have enough Green Berets to man the teams. Nobody is staying. We're losing two for every one we gain, is what I'm told. The official numbers are not correct, is what I'm told by the people I'm talking to. They don't know. Like the people in charge are not one generation separated from the guys coming in. They're three or four now because of the advances in technology. They have no idea what the kids coming in want to see or what they want to get into or how to get them attached. Ranger Regiment has it figured out. Their recruiting numbers are up, but they don't know what it's things are going to fall apart before they can put them back together. And I don't know if they want to fix it because I think they know that SF got too big while over the last 25 years, and they might just take this opportunity to shrink it back down to a size they want it to be. Whether that drops a group, probably not. The five that we have set up cover the world pretty good, but that's a lot of people to keep, and expensive and things like that. I think there's a lot more to go into it, but I don't think they know what the fuck they're doing. And I think they're gonna let it get to a level where they can get it under control and then fix it, or they'll just let it fucking run itself into the ground. Um, One you said though, like the Niger ambush, uh, that was senior level officers making mistakes and blaming it on junior dudes, and then, as you said, I think you said that correctly. I think they knee jerk reaction towards some policy making, going, "Oh, we can't make these mistakes that we blame those people for again. So let's pull things back here, so we don't have to sacrifice another ODA." Because at the time, because those were all senior higher level officer mistakes, and they're like, "Oh fuck, we can't let this happen again. Fuck, I
Whoops.
really fucked this up, Joe." And
Yeah.
then, okay, it's all right, Tim. Here's your promotion. So, but everything changes, everything, and then it's shut off, and now we go back to our core mission. But there's still transition of what's happening. There's a lot of shit going on in the world. There's a lot of shit going on, and and now we come back to how did we get to where you're at right now? You're exploring, your um, cognitive injuries, and all that shit leads up to where we are. And you get older, right? Now you're older and you're having kids and you're thinking about stuff. And you're like, why did I do this? I need to be in this frame of mind you've got pressure of raising a family and being a husband and being at home. And I didn't get to do exactly what I want to do. And then also, you may not be thinking about it, but you probably got to think once in a while, I could just resign my commission and go be a warrant and do
Well,
what I
dude, I
want
had
to do.
had that
You probably
conversation
think
with my
about that
wife.
every day.
Yeah. She was like, she wasn't opposed to it because I was like, hey, that's an option. Like, it doesn't happen very frequently, but like, there are captains who do it. And she said, she's like, if I thought it would make you happy, I would support it, but I think you would still be frustrated because you're not getting to do what you want to do. So you would still be on a team, yes, but you would not be frustrated, or you would still be frustrated. And I think I know I made the right decision because I still talk to guys on my team or former teammates, like my Zulu's now retired. Um, and he was like, "Oh, dude, it got so gay after you left. Like you made the right decision." And he like they were trying to get him to stick around to be sergeant major, and he was like, "Nope. I wanted to be a team sergeant. I got to be a team sergeant. Like I have checked the block that I wanted. Like I have reached the top." And he was like, "I see the way this is trending. I don't want to be a part of that." And so he's happily retired now. But yeah.
So unfortunate because I'm hearing that so much. Because we'll complain, people complain, oh, it's not how it was. But when you hear guys saying the exact same thing of this is not, this isn't it. Whatever it was, yeah, that wasn't our job, but we did that well. What we're doing now, this ain't it. And I'm hearing that more and more. But I do have the luxury of saying, okay, that's where I draw the line. I don't fucking give a shit. Like all you guys that are still in, that's y'all's problem. I'm out and I'm worrying about the issues that you kind of came on here today for. Like I will go on my show here and talk about fucking suicide and shit because, and my wife brought this one up. She said it the other day. It is a disease. It has infected our regiment and SF and the military as a whole. It's like Mr. Smith in the Matrix, right? It is,
Mm,
it has embedded itself in all aspects of American culture
I like that
and,
analogy.
and military as a whole. And it's not like this in other countries. There's a lot of things in the US here that are not this way in other places. So how did this disease gain so much traction as is it the easy way out? Is it, oh, this option's there and I'm just going to take it? As you said, some days you just don't want to be here anymore. Then we go to It's a Wonderful Life, right? What would life be like without me? If I was never born, right?
Uh-huh.
And we don't have that luxury of seeing how everybody would get on if you were never around and things like that. Because you don't, we're fighting against these split second decisions, which are very difficult to counteract. It's very easy to, I say easy in comparison, it's very easy to save somebody's life that wants to drink themselves to death. You got like 10 years, unless they get a DUI or wreck their car and kill themselves. But you got like 10 years before somebody drinks themselves to death. You got 1/3 of a second before somebody shoots themselves. Uh, that's tough to compete with. So, as much as I sympathize with the guys that are still in, that's y'all's fucking problem. I We got our own problems on this side, and it feels so weird. Like if I feel like icky making content about it. So I always have this in my mind to like I have to stand up straight and be very serious and pragmatic in the things that I say. Of I'm not chasing followers to build content off of people's mental uh, health issues or their cognitive injuries or this other stuff. No, this is a real fucking issue. And people talk about it like it's a cold that they're going to catch. And unfortunately, the more I talk about it, the better I get at talking about it. So that's where I drawing forward as I move towards this. That's why I'm glad you came on today to talk about these things, because just like I go back to the gym so much, just like the gym, right? We got to train and get better at talking about it, bringing these things up in front of our friends and being like, fuck, bro, I get it. Every enlisted guy, almost every enlisted guy that comes on this show has been this close to killing themselves. I can't think of one that wasn't. That's how much of an anomaly it would be. I'm sure there is one, but or they pushed it off issues into some other aspect. Like I jumped right into contracting. I jumped right into this. And then it made
Yeah.
so much worse when that ended because that
Yeah.
was an even higher tempo life with less rules. Like like military code of justice, uniform code of military justice in the military. There's none of that in the contracting world. So you get into a more fucking stressful thing, and it's just on and on and on. So what what are we gonna do going forward? What do you think about what I just said? Right, like a disease that's infiltrated our fucking psyche.
It's interesting because it is so pervasive, and I guess I've never looked at the numbers, from like, okay, the US versus the rest of the world. Like where do we fall? Um, and that there's probably something worth looking into with that. My immediate thought is, like, do we have, I remember, like, do we have it too easy as a culture, right? I remember somebody saying it was like a podcast or a video clip, something was like, hey, way back in the day in the 30s or whatever, like depression was at an all-time low or some shit because like you didn't have time to be depressed because you were trying to work your ass off to survive, to feed your family, or even before that when the Stone Age, like you didn't have fucking depression then because you were trying to find your next meal. You didn't have time for that introspective, existential thought processes that lead you to that. Now, that was just my immediate thought, but like I don't know if that's really the answer. Um, Maybe there's a modicum of truth to it. I don't know, but I know that like it is definitely something that it's interesting because once you start talking to guys about it, again, like specifically team guys, dudes are like, yeah, me too. So it's like nobody talks about it until it's like it's that elephant in the room that like all it takes is one person to say something and they're like, then it's like the snowball effect. Then more people start opening up about it, like, oh yeah, me too, oh yeah, me too. And then before you know it, everybody in the room is sharing their experience of like very similar issues. Um, and that's one of the things that I am trying to encourage through my YouTube channel is like, hey man, like have these conversations. I'll be that first dude. I don't give a shit. Like I'll fucking start. I'll go first. Like okay, I said my piece. Like who else wants to who wants to share? Um, because I have found, like you said, like the more you talk about it, the better you are at talking about it. But I also feel like I feel like it's almost therapeutic. Like you having that discussion about it to somebody in a non-judgmental forum where like, hey, I'm just telling you what's going on or telling you how I feel. You don't have to have a solution to the problem necessarily. Like just listen. Like I just want somebody to listen and like, cool, and like regarding the suicide thing, when you were saying that, that got me thinking of one of the things my therapist told me was, it's suicide is it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And I know it doesn't seem like it's temporary because, like, again, when you're in that depressed state, you feel like it's always been this way. I've always been depressed, and I'm gonna be depressed forever because that's how it feels. But like the reality is, like, nothing in life is permanent, including those emotions, right? So like it will end at some point, it will dissipate. When and how long, who knows? But like, there's no going back from suicide. Like once you're gone, you're gone. There's no reset button. Um, and that was actually so like I had started thinking about when I first started, or probably like a year into my treatment, I was like, hey, like, is there a way that we can help decrease the burden on providers? Because I was looking around, seeing other guys in the same boat as me, and I was like, where are we missing the issue here? And I think getting people to go ugly early or left of bang, no pun intended. Maybe a little bit dark joke there. Um,
Joke number two.
Dark joke number two. Getting ahead of it to address it before it becomes more severe, because there's just not enough providers right now. So what I was seeing happen was like dudes would sit on stuff and try to either take care of it on their own or just like make it go away or just ignore it until the point where like, okay, now we've reached a catastrophic threshold where like this guy is suicidal and he needs to go inpatient and there's just not enough providers to get to that person sometimes in that like 1/30th of a second you're talking about. It's like, all right, so we need more providers and we need to facilitate this conversation. Well, we can't mass produce providers because there's a certain level of competency and training required to achieve that, I guess, certification for that position. Well, let's just fucking educate guys. Like tell a guy, like, hey man, you are not alone with this. Like a lot of dudes have it. Let's put a name to it. Let's describe this shit. Cause like for me, a lot of what I was going through, like I didn't know what the fuck it was. I didn't know what an intrusive thought was, even though they were through my head. I'm like freaking the hell out because I'm worried like, oh my God, am I suicidal? Like, no, dude, you're having intrusive thoughts. The fuck is that? Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's like if you can share that information with guys so they understand, oh, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. All right, now I understand it. Okay, now that I understand what it is, how do I deal with it? What is an effective way to deal with it rather than try to sit on it, make it go away, or worse, like drown it in a bottle um, in an effort to treat it when it is less severe than like, okay, now we've reached like catastrophic levels and we need, either we need to get you inpatient and or like take away your guns type thing. I feel like the earlier we get to guys and the earlier they go seek help, the less likely that is. And also like giving them the tools to treat themselves, if that makes sense, right? Like I don't need to go, but if I don't treat it, it could get infected. It could get worse. Well, now I need to go to the ER because now my finger has, I don't know, gangrene. That's an extreme example, but like if left untreated, those things can metastasize. And I look at cognitive injuries the same way. And that's what I'm trying to get guys to like shift that paradigm away from like, hey, this is a mental health disorder to like, hey, this is an injury. Treat it like any other injury, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It not impossible, difficult.
I can't hear you.
It can't hear me. Oh, uh,
I'm still muted.
you can't hear me at all. I'm not. Um, your headphone's dead. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, hold on. Let me mark this here. All right, we still recording. I think you've switched now. Your mic is on your phone. Okay. All right. For those at home, sorry, sound will change just a little bit. I should be able to clean that up in post production. No. So, yeah, not impossible, difficult, right? We have to change what people think about what guys think. Mostly, guys, it's everybody. It's not, this isn't exclusive to special operations or anything.
Yeah.
It's everybody. Everybody goes through trauma. Uh, and it affects them differently. I've said many times on the show, the worst thing to happen to you is the worst thing to ever happen to you. And everybody experiences that at their own level in whatever arena they're in. They could be a theater major and something, I don't know, really bad example for me to pick, but if you can dream up something bad to happen to a theater major while working on a production, that's the worst thing that ever happened to them. And you might not think that's significant, but they do to them. And they could
Yeah.
think about that all the time and it could drive them nuts. So these areas aren't exclusive. And there are there are treatments out there. The people I talked to on Monday doing great work with hyperbaric oxygen chambers, right? And that's just healing people with a shitload of oxygen over 90 days, 5 days a week for 90 days. That's crazy. That doesn't sound like it'll work. They got all this data that says it will. You start healing and shit. Testosterone replacement therapy.
Hmm.
God, if you could take medicine to feel, you know, testosterone fixes a lot of shit, make you feel better. And in my case, concussions, uh, that fucks with your, now I forget the name of the system, but your system. I'm going to edit that out so I don't sound like an idiot. I might leave it anyway. So I do sound like an idiot, but it fucks with your system. And if you can take something to make you feel better, well, fuck, you're going to take it. The important part is the most important, and we go right back to it, is the second and third order effects. One of those is the false thought of judgment for other people.
Hmm.
And as I said in the beginning, right? If people judge you, they're not your fucking friend.
Yep.
And just because they're family, that don't mean they're fucking family either. Fuck them,
Yep. That's what I
right?
said. Yep.
And you have got to make the best decisions for yourself to feel better because I I get it. I get it. I really do. That feeling of being so depressed and so sad that you don't want to be around and you just don't know what to do. But like that goes away. I know it feels like it won't go away. You got to get back in the gym. You got to eat right. You got to talk to your friends. You got to go see your friends. Maybe you've isolated yourself like I did here in Wisconsin. No friends, nobody in the phone. You know, I had 7 Green Berets in my phone when I started this in January 1st. I got well over 100 now, and my network is in the thousands just
Nice.
because I decided I don't want to be isolated anymore. I identified that as a problem and things like that. So it's up to us, the individual. And
Yes.
how do we do that? We have to leverage people that have already done it. Um, and that's a responsibility on my part and your part. If you're going to stand up and say, hey, we need to talk about this, you better have some answers or at least
Yep.
be able to shuffle people to people that do have answers and things
Yep.
like that. And there's some of it, but it boils down to what I got written right here, right? Just be humble and relax and just listen to what people have to say. And hopefully people will sympathize with that and listen and take in the information that we have to put out and hopefully reach out for help and not be ashamed
Yep.
of having issues that people can't see because
Yep.
that's part of it too. There's a whole shitload of stuff that goes into it. But fuck, we don't talk about it, then we ain't gonna do anything, right?
Yep. And I think looking back at what you were saying a few minutes ago, where um, we really just need to have like grace with ourselves. Like it's okay to not be okay. Like you don't need to be 10 feet tall and bulletproof the entire fucking time. Like it's okay to be like, you know what? I'm a human being. Like the I remember when COVID happened, my wife was pissed at me because like, team guys, we don't give a shit. We're like, oh yeah, wear a mask, fucking 6 feet. We're like, yeah, okay, whatever, dude. Like I told her, I was like, babe, of all the things that we do, like this is the least likely to kill us. Like if something's gonna kill us, it's gonna be fucking jumping out of an airplane or blowing something up or any other litany of things that we do. And she's like, you guys are fucking stupid. Like you guys all think you're invincible and you're not. And then that was obviously pre my treatment, and I was like, oh, she's right. We do. Like we do think we're fucking invincible, and I think we hold it against ourselves internally if we think we're not. Like, oh, I'm a piece of shit. Like I'm falling short of what is expected of me. I have to be this invincible, like I don't even know, demigod or something like that. And saying like, hey, I've got this cognitive injury is, you know, paramount. Like it's akin to like blasphemy. You can't I can't admit this, because if I admit this, then I'm admitting that I'm weak, that I'm not invulnerable. And I think a lot of men, specifically men in law enforcement, military, first responders, that they all have that. We all have this like invulnerability complex, and it just gets worse. There was a podcast I was listening to, and the dude, he was emailing a SEAL Team 6 guy, and he's like describing it. And he's like, yeah, like I thought I was invincible. Like you have to at a certain point, like to say, okay, we're gonna turn the lights off. We're gonna push you out of a plane at 25,000 feet. Like you have to think at a certain, like, I'm gonna be okay. There's nothing wrong with this. There's no way this is gonna kill me for me to be comfortable doing this thing. And that makes sense to a point. But then I also think like, hey man, you're not actually fucking bulletproof. Like get behind cover, or like go get help if you have an injury. Um, and so I was like, oh shit, like this dude is literally describing the fucking like the invulnerability complex, and he even admitted it in his little this tidbit in the podcast. So I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, ha, I'm not fucking crazy. Like this dude just said it. Um, Obviously we're not. None of us are. We're all fucking, like you said earlier, like we're all gonna die. Everybody's gonna die at some point.
Down here, so my side of it, I have no cares if I die today or in 20 years or anything. I've thought about that so much. Do I really care? I do not. I am content with everything I've accomplished in my life. I'm having a great time doing what I'm doing day to day, accomplishing the things I'm accomplishing, making the things I'm doing, not having to listen to anybody and things like that. But there might be a side of it of like, there's probably a lot of dudes that are not afraid to die. And then they go, well, I'm not afraid to die. I just don't want to be, I just don't want to feel like shit anymore. And
Yeah.
so, all right, I'm going to check out
Yeah.
because like death doesn't scare me. We
Yeah.
all die. Maybe it'll scare me later when I don't know. But like jumping out of planes, never. I was like, if I hit the ground, cool. If I land fine, okay, yeah, that's cool too. Doing spies. I remember one day we did spies and I'm like, yeah, it would suck if this broke, but I probably wouldn't feel anything. So, um, and I think there's probably a lot of guys like that. Maybe they think they're invincible. Maybe they just don't care. And they'll make that decision based on those things of feeling nothing one way or the other. And I know it's weird to say, but I don't. And I've thought about it. I feel like that's a true statement on my side of like, I just don't care. I did. I've done everything I want to do. I'm currently doing everything I want to do. Like this, what do I have to prove to anybody? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Um, but that's a strange place to get to. So I think all of it feeds into why are our suicide rates higher? Maybe that's why.
Maybe.
Maybe we just maybe we just don't fucking give a shit. Um, and you go and you because you don't care, you can discount the people that depend on you, the ones that are going to stand up there at your eulogy and fucking sob and say, "What am I going to do now?" Maybe you can blow all those people off with that attitude. And I guess, but we never know, right?
Yeah.
We just don't because they're gone, and all we got left to do is think about it.
Yeah.
Think about the why. Uh, so I went to one 2 weeks ago, and fuck, man, the first time the three daughters, and the first time hearing who's going to walk me down the aisle was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But the third time hearing it from the third daughter was fucking worse. Like nobody thinks about that.
Yeah.
Like, we would never do that to somebody if we were thinking clearly. We would never put that on somebody. We would take on the burden 100%. Um, and we would never put that on somebody, but we do. Guys do all the time. And I think, and as I said, feels fucking weird to make content out about it, but God, nobody talks about what it's like in the funeral of
Yeah.
watching the family cry and say and without saying why the fuck did you do this to us in kind polite words, but really the meaning of going, why the fuck would you do this to me?
Yeah.
Why did you do this to me? And you can't see that after the fact. You can't.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to say that because that fucking sucks. Talking about that sucks. And if more guys went to those things and went, I can't do this to somebody. Maybe that would be forefront in their mind, but we swipe it away. You
Yeah.
know, we get a message from our friends that say so and so died, and you don't even have to ask why. You already know.
Yeah.
Um, and so we are able to, as you said earlier in the show, bury ourselves in other actions or other
Yeah.
thoughts and keep our mind off of things because you can't not think about something, but you can think about something else.
Yeah.
Um, take your mind off of things. So I think the most much is it, and with doing all this shit, if I've come across something I don't want to do, that's exactly what I need to be doing because I don't know what I'm doing. But I've found if I don't want to do something or it sucks or I got to figure it out, that's what I need to be doing because that's what goes to this. As fucking much as it hurts, that's what we need to be talking about because
There's a
nobody's talking about it.
there was a clip um that fucking I was like doom scrolling one night through, as folks do these days through one of the social media platforms, and it was I don't know why it popped up into my feed, but and it was relatively recently, probably within like the last year or so. But it was this little, I can't remember if it was a little boy or a little girl, small child, probably about like 3 or 4. But their dad had just killed themselves. Not I don't think was military, but and it just this mom trying to explain to the kid who's just sobbing that daddy's not coming back, and like the kid was just trying to like reconcile this, like, well, not coming back till after work or not coming back till when. And dude, I don't know what it was, but that just fucking tore at me, and I was like, this sucks. Like, it just ate away at my soul, and I couldn't, like like you said, very uncomfortable to look at or to watch, but like, I was like, I really don't like watching this. Like, this hurts. And I can't help but look at that and immediately think of like whatever, like I could never do that to my kids. And like part of that natural process was to like, okay, thanks for this brain, but like juxtapose my children into that perspective. Like, what if it was your kids doing that? And I was like, I would be fucking terrible. Like, I would never want my son or my daughter to be like, why is daddy not coming back? Where's daddy? And it's just like, even talking about it, just like it fucking hurts. But, like maybe that's what it takes to like, hey man, yeah, it hurts. It fucking sucks. So like, don't do it. Like maybe if that's what we have to do, maybe that's an option to look at, and like, let's expose you to, the other side of this, that you're if let's say you have your druthers and you do what you want to do, like let's examine that kind of like, where would the world be without you? Like, well, here's what it might look like. Like there was a dude, I know we talked about this before, I can't remember his fucking name, but I recognized his picture, and like somebody, one of my guys from that was in my class in the Q course was like posted about it and was like, oh yeah, he died. And I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, what happened? And he was like, oh, he killed himself. And this is a picture of him with his 2 little boys. And I was just like, what the fuck, man? Like, who, like, I don't understand that. Like, and I'm just trying to reconcile it because like I have kids now too. And so I was like, I cannot fathom, it hurts too much to think about like doing that to my own kids. Um, and like, I was like, I wish I understood what he was going through, and like that he was so willing to put his kids through that. And again, like I'm not trying to speak ill of the dead. I just wish I understood, if nothing else, than to like, okay, how do we help avoid that again? Like, how do we help keep another kid or another family from, having to have those conversations where, when is dad coming back, or who's going to walk me down the aisle? And I think part of it again is trying to get dudes to just like, hey man, it's okay. It's okay to have this shit going on. Like, there's not, like, you're not deficient, you're not wrong, you're not less than. Like, it is okay. Like, it's fine.
Yeah. As shitty as this sounds, it's not going to stop. This is not going to stop. We
No.
may slow it down. It may speed up. It will do both probably, but it's not going to stop. And as shitty as you have to use, have you done LTT?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Traumatic for everyone
Oh yeah.
involved,
Oh yeah.
but you'll never forget that shit. Never forget that shit.
No.
And these our brothers and sisters are going to keep doing these things, and you have to use it as a teaching point so that hopefully other people really look at it and say, I don't want to do that. No matter how bad I feel, I have to have options. And then once they make that assessment, I have to have options. Here's your options. Call me. I'll get you in touch with my portion is special operations, right? I've fucking 10 nonprofits I can direct you to. I can't get a hold of one. I'll go to the next one.
Yeah.
So get them to say, I don't want this to happen. I'm
Yeah.
going to reach out to this person, or I'm going to reach out to this foundation, and things like that. And then have these things out there, because the VA is there to a point. I've done the walk in at the VA. Very, you could just walk right into the VA, say, I need to go to walk in behavioral health, and they take care of you. I've found the VA fucking sucks at everything else, but man, if you walk in the front door and they say, I need help, they've been there every time I've asked them to be there. So I will give them props on that. If you've got the sniffles, get the fuck out of here. Go
Yeah.
fucking somewhere else. We don't need you. But they've been helpful with that. But you have to have these options available and things like that. And then let's see. We'll go from there.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all we can do. It feels like a heavy episode, doesn't it? Very heavy.
A little bit.
Very
It got heavy here.
we got heavy. That's all right though, because I'm not going to make a joke, but I try to. That's the point. That's the point of the show. Is is talking about these things and talking about whatever we want, and talking about you and your story and things. And obviously, this is forefront in your mind. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come on and asked to talk about the things we're talking about. But we're going to lighten it up a little bit. Tell me about clover shooting.
So that was really just a side hustle that I started. So I like to shoot competitively. That started out in North Carolina when I was still in third group. I don't remember exactly how I got into it, but I just remember that I was like, man, this is fun. Like, this is, I think, making me better at my job. Um, so professional development, working on my craft, and then that kind of turned into over time, like, okay, now I'm going to compete not just for my professional development, but also because I want to compete because I'm competitive. Um, so I kept doing that. I had to take a hiatus from competitive shooting for about a year or so when I was going through my treatment plan, got my guns back, resumed competitive shooting. And then one day, oh God, like right shortly before I got out, I think it was my wife. She was like, you like shooting a lot. Like, why don't you like teach? Like Green Berets teach, like you guys are supposed to be like you said, we're murderers teachers. Like, why don't you start like a business teaching people how to shoot? And where I am is there's not a terribly big uh the market isn't saturated, I'll put it that way. Where it's like if you go down to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, you throw a rock up, it's gonna land on somebody, some tactical shooting instructor. That's not the case where I live. And so I was like, okay, yeah, sure. Like it's not my full-time job. It's more of a passion, so I can take what I've learned, and my target audience, my target demographic are people that have very little or no experience shooting at all. So like if you're already a competitive shooter, I'm not probably going to make you a better competitive shooter. But if you've never shot a gun before, or maybe you've shot a gun and you just want to learn how to employ it, it's like, hey, okay, I'm at a static range, 25 yards indoors, and the gun is already in my hands. But how did it get there, right? If it was in a holster, how did it get to full presentation? And working with that with folks. But yeah, so it's been a couple years. I've done a few enrollment classes. Most of what I do right now is actually pro bono work for the Green Beret Foundation. So I'll donate a class to the Green Beret Foundation. Usually they do like one or two events in our area a year, and then they will auction off those classes. And then, like I think last year I had one went for $2,000. The guy bid $2,000 on it for a four-person class, which is not. I mean, you're supposed you put out the fair market value of the class, and I was like, hey, it's only worth. Like, I don't charge an arm and a leg. I think it's like 150 per person. So four people would be
600.
yeah. And the dude paid $2,000, and I was like, thanks for supporting the GBF. That was awesome. So he came out with his two grandkids and his son, and ran him through a couple pistol drills. Spent 4 hours with him, tried to help him get a little bit better. Um, but yeah, that's mostly what it is right now. Is me helping the GBF through pro bono stuff. I think part of it is I refuse to market myself as like the tactical like bro vet shooting thing. Like, no man, like shooting is shooting, tactics are tactics. Those are two separate things. Like if you can't shoot slick, then I'm not going to put you in body armor and have you go do room clearing because it's not going to make it any better. Um, but yeah, so then my I started writing a book about the cognitive health stuff, and then my I was like, I could probably just turn this like use the Clover Defense page to like springboard this and to help get that narrative out there because I had been mulling about trying to write a book about this, or at least just find some way to get the information out there to guys. And then my a good buddy of mine was a he. Well, I'll just leave it at that. He revealed, not to me, but like publicly to the social media ether, that his team sergeant had walked in on him like mid suicide attempt and stopped him, um, which was great. But I was like, that for me, that was kind of the okay, I need to fucking like I need to put this information out here. If I have this idea and if it can help at least one person and I just choose not to because I'm either lazy or I'm just worried that it's not going to be effective, then like that's pretty fucked up. So I should like just put the shit out there, and if it helps somebody, then awesome. And it like I think 2 weeks after my first YouTube video, like I had a few guys hitting me up out of the blue on Instagram, like, "Hey man, just watch your video, like it's fucking great." Um, Another buddy of mine who was a third group guy, he fucking loves it. He put me in touch with a another company. They've got some products that I'm gonna try to like help give away to grow the channel a little bit. But and I actually my full time job of an ROTC instructor back at my alma mater, um, which I kind of lucked into that job. But I had somebody come to me who was suicidal after posting these videos, and they came to me and they were like, "Hey, like I had a gun in my mouth." And I was like, okay, cool, man. Well, appreciate you coming to talk to me. And so I was like, all right, like it just reaffirmed that like, okay, this is having the desired impact. The information I'm putting out is encouraging people to go get help and have these conversations. And so like we got that dude help. He's in a much better spot now, but like that surprised the shit out of me. Like it's like I did not fucking see that one coming. Okay, man. Like let's get you where you need to go. And I was like, at this point, like I have exceeded my expertise. Like, and we talked about how I have experience based off of my life, but I was like, I am not in a position where I can help you right now. But I will go with you. Like you and me will go together. We'll go to the clinic, and I will stay here with you as long as it takes. Um, so I was like, hey, cool, all right. I helped at least one person. So, and it's not that's not where I intended Clover Defense to go, but if that's the way it keeps going, then like, and if it keeps helping people and making a difference, then I'm gonna keep going that way.
Don't close yourself off to opportunities. Uh, the whole since starting the lesser known operators, I was like, I don't fucking care where it goes. It's where it's gonna do what it's gonna do. The market's gonna decide what it needs me to do, what it wants me to talk about. People will tell me what they want me to talk about, and things like that. As long as I stay within the uphold this, as long as I uphold this to what I believe it should be, I'm fine. And as long as you uphold your beliefs to what you think they should be, they're fine. And people will let you know. Most things you got to ignore because there's fucking fake profiles and people just stirring up shit and want to shit on you for no reason. You got to ignore that. But people will let you know if you're getting off track and things like that. So I applaud you for that. It's that's really it's just cool. I love it. I love to see guys transitioning into other things and using their skills. And it's just tough. It's tough to get out in front of people and speak and say things that nobody wants to talk about and things like that. And again, there's not a lot of people that do it. There needs to be more, but that'll come. That'll all improve. And jump in with shooting, right? Okay, you gotta. Okay, what am I good at? Okay, I got this. Okay, let's focus on this. And as you get this working, and I can take on something else. I can take on something else. I can take on other little things, and then they all start working side by side, where you not they're not an autopilot, but they're just easy to accomplish all these tasks, the
Mhm.
essential tasks throughout the day, and then slowly you can add other things. So main effort is your shooting, and then okay, that might shift to the main effort being making videos, and then you watch your old videos and you go, oh, I can improve on this, I can add this little thing here. So yeah, don't close yourself off to opportunities and you'll be fine. Just uphold what you believe to be true and make content for you. Don't get into what other people want too much, but take suggestions and make it for you, stuff that you like, and it'll be fine, you know. So,
Cool.
fuck yeah,
Yeah.
fuck man. I feel like that's a good spot. I got 5 questions that I ask everybody, and then I'll cut you loose. How's that sound?
Sounds good. I'm ready. Let's do it.
What is your response to thank you for your service?
Thank you for your support. I learned that one
Nice
from
and
my
simple.
dad.
Yeah, I like that. Um, we didn't even talk about much about your parents. Did they how much did they have much influence on your career? But you said they were kind of completely different worlds and sectors or things, or
Yeah. They were both Navy and they were both Navy medicine.
yeah,
So
not
very
really a lot of.
well my dad he was National Guard infantry for a little bit, so he a slight influence probably. I think as much as he transitioned into the Navy and the Nurse Corps, I think he's still a grunt at heart.
Okay. All right. What is the one characteristic that sets operators apart from the conventional forces?
I'll say discipline, and that might not sit well with some of the regular force guys, but I think to get to that point, physically, mentally, cognitively, like you can't not have discipline, and like no one is going to make you get ready for selection or whatever course you're going through. Like that is a choice that you are choosing to make, and you can only get to that point unless you are gifted. Like that takes a lot of effort, repetitive effort, and you can't do that if you don't have discipline. Like motivation is only going to get you so far. And so like it actually reminds me of the whole like watching the SF guys that couldn't march at the parade, and I'm like, oh, these guys. I'm like, that's not what Green Berets do. Like I'm sorry, but like the 82nd guys marching in better formation, great. If we need somebody to, I saw this post, maybe you posted it, I don't remember, but somebody was like, if you need somebody to stand in a circle or stand in a square, like don't call us. Like, that's not what we do.
No, I know the post you're talking about.
Yeah.
I do go back and forth on this a little bit because, X-rays, no regular Army time. I did get my 2 years of regular Army time, learned a lot, very helpful in interactions down the road and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding perspectives. But yeah, marching in a parade, I think it makes how they did it makes more of a statement of this ain't us. Like,
Yeah.
but I've been having a lot of discussions lately over the phrase always look cool, right? And that's a silly throwaway phrase that you can just take it as face value. But there is so much meaning in that. And part of always looking cool is being squared the fuck away.
Yeah.
Even if you look cool with your sunglasses and your beret sticking out of your pocket and your little bit longer hair or whatever, being able to march in formation is part of that.
Yeah.
You're still in the United States Army. Uh, you're not in a Saber Squadron. You are in Special Forces group, and
Yep.
marching's not that fucking hard.
Yeah.
So I'm back and forth on it. I care, and I also don't care one little bit. So, but you're right. Discipline falls under. Always look cool.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. What is the one moment of your career that you wish you could go back and relive or redo, and it wouldn't change where you are now?
Robin Sage. Yeah, I had a fucking Robin Sage was probably the coolest training I've ever done, and I had a great student team. Like a lot of the a lot of the guys that I still talk to were on my Robin Sage team, and they're like, it was fucking great. And it was actually funny. My Robin Sage instructor ended up on my ODA, or I guess I should say I was on his ODA because it was he had been on that team before. And then he was like, "Hey, where are you headed?" I was like, "I'm going here." He's like, "Oh, that's my old team. I'm going back there." And I'm like, "Oh, I guess I'll see you there then." And sure enough, there he was. I was like, "Oh, what's up, dude? Fancy seeing you here. By the way, if I screw this up, this is your fault because you're the one that passed me at Sage." So
This is 100% your fault, and I'm blaming you for everything.
yeah,
What is the best piece of advice that you received during your career?
25-meter target. Focus on the 25-meter target.
Who told you that?
My uncle, he was a former Echo, and then he was a Zulu. Then he got out.
Well, why did you bring that up? Did that have any?
I did. I did.
Did you?
Yeah, when I was talking about like solving, hey, if I don't get help, then it doesn't matter if I don't have my guns or I don't have a security clearance because it's not the 25-meter target. The 25-meter target is getting help.
Okay. God, must have missed that one. I am having four conversations with myself at all times while doing
That's
this show.
that is challenging.
Can't believe I missed that. I would have brought more up about that, but another time. I'm sure we'll have you back on. All right, man. Last one. What were you afraid of then? And what are you afraid of now?
It's hard. Well, back then I was afraid of not phrase this, not being, I don't know, like not being badass enough, like not being hard enough. Um, like I said, I had developed an expectation where like I need to be able to do certain things and be certain things. Um, and so that's what I was afraid of now or then. Now I'm afraid of, screwing up my kids, fucking up being a dad. And that's probably what eats at me the most. So there's a lot of, overanalyze. I have I'm not OCD, but I do obsess over shit sometimes. And so if I fuck something up with the kids, I'm like, oh, fuck, did I just like scar them psychologically for life? Like, oh my God, I shouldn't have fucking done that. How could I have played that differently? Like, is there a way to reconcile this? Is there a way to salvage this? Like, 9 times out of 10, the answer is usually just like, hey, they're fucking fine. Like, was that okay? No. Are they fucking damaged for life? Also, no. Like, you fucked up. Don't do it again. Like, move forward with life. But that's what I'm worried about now is being a good dad.
I'm sure you're doing better than you think you are. Nathan, how can everybody find you on the socials if they so choose?
So we have a YouTube channel, which I don't even think it's got a fucking name to it, but I post the links to the YouTube videos. It doesn't, because the YouTube channel is still like it's a developing thing. Um,
I
but
gotta have something to tag in the
well, so
description.
you can find me on Clover Defense or Clover Shooting. And the YouTube videos, I've started posting them on the Clover Shooting channel, the Instagram channel Clover Shooting. So there's quite a few videos out now, trying not to inundate people with too much stuff, but
I try to keep them shortish, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
me too. With my 3 hour shows, I'm really
hey,
keep it
podcasts
brief.
are different though. Podcasts are different from YouTube videos.
Yeah. All right, man. I really appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Little heavy on the subject, but that's okay. I think it's my show, and I think it was just fine. You got anything for me, man?
No, sir. Good to go. Appreciate you having me, man.
I appreciate you. Bye, everybody.